Hello, my twinkly starry-eyed simps. Happy Tuesday. We made it. We made it past the dreaded, impossible behemoth that is Monday. And we made it to Tuesday. It is Tuesday, right? Yeah, it is. Some days it's hard to tell. Some days you just don't even know what day it is. And I feel like especially in the summertime. Especially in the summer, it's like, Time has no meaning? Absolutely. I love the hairstyle. I'm rocking my Sailor Moon buns. I love Sailor Moon. I do love Sailor Moon so fucking much. It makes me so happy. I think it's really interesting how in Japan, Sailor Mercury was by far the most popular Sailor Scout. Like, even more popular, I think, sometimes than Sailor Moon herself. Or I could be completely wrong about that, and it went, like, absolutely Sailor Moon and then Sailor Mercury. But Sailor Mercury was, like, incredibly popular in Japan. She was studious, she was polite, she was smart, she was amazing, an amazing person. And in North America, where Sailor Moon was also, like, hugely fucking popular, it was Sailor Jupiter. Sailor Jupiter was, like, the most popular Sailor Scout in North America. She was the one who made the biggest impression and was, like, the most favorite in North America. And I think that makes sense because Sailor Jupiter was my favorite as well. Like, I loved Sailor Jupiter. And even my big brother, who was like, oh, Sailor Moon is, like, dumb and for girls. And things for girls are dumb, as, like, lots of young men think. Even my brother was like, okay, Sailor Jupiter is actually pretty fucking cool. Hey, pup, come on up. Come here. Do you want to come up? You don't have to if you don't want to. Yeah. Can confirm, says Sean. Jupiter was the favorite amongst myself and my best friends growing up. Val? Oh, she's got to stretch first. Hold on, let her stretch. Okay, come on up. Hey, beautiful girl. We're matching today. I gave her a little white bandana. Yeah, should we loosen this just a smidge? I feel like it'll look nicer if this part is a little bit smaller. Look at how excited she is for it. You love your bandana. You do. I love that she knows that it's her bandana too. She's like, these are mine. These are my clothes. There, how's that? There you go. That proportion looks a little bit nicer. Oh yeah. You give off some Sailor Jupiter vibes yourself. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the brown hair. And also that Sailor Jupiter was so big and so tall that when she transferred to Sailor Moon's and Sailor Mercury's school, they didn't have a female uniform in her size. So she wore her uniform from her previous school, which is why she's, like, often seen in her, like, class time wearing the tan uniform instead of the red, white, and blue. Or I guess it's, like, just blue and white, maybe, of the regular school uniform. And Sailor Jupiter was, like, considered to be as tall as a man in the anime. Like, she was of a comparable height to, like, lots of the male characters in Sailor Moon because she was 5'5" tall, just like me. She was only 5'5", but that's very tall for Japanese people. It's very, very tall for Japanese people in the 90s. And maybe even today still. I feel like I see pretty regularly, like, videos on Reddit and all over the internet of, like, particularly tall people traveling through Asia and them being stopped like they're celebrities and people being like, I need to take a picture with you because you're so, like, absolutely fucking gigantically tall. Yeah. She just had that presence and that tone and that sort of, like, unmatched vibe. Oh, Peter. Oh, Peter, you should have been here yesterday. Peter, you should have seen us yesterday. We were out of control yesterday. Yesterday was one of those wild and crazy days. But I'm glad you're here today, Peter. See, Alejandro was here yesterday. Whoops. Oops, I did not mean to click that so big. Yeah, yesterday was a very wild and crazy day. The outfit that I wore, the boots, the stockings, oh, look at this little dog. Oh, look at this ridiculous little dog. Hello, little dog. Is this the most comfortable spot in the whole wide world? with your face pushed up against my thigh. It really is. I think we all know that it really is. It's the most comfortable place in the whole wide world. Hi, little dog. It doesn't matter how much I pet her, she always looks at me like, why aren't you petting me more? God gave you 2 hands, woman. God gave you 2 hands. Okay, 2 hands. Silly puppy. Okay, let's lay back. Let's lay back. Let us assume the position. Oh yeah. Can I assume the position, puppy? Hi. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. Oh yeah. That's it. That's the comfy spot. Now I can pet her all she wants with both hands. There we go. Oh yeah. Yeah, yesterday was a really, really good day, except for the fact that we got a ton of wildfire smoke blown over into Toronto. When I woke up in the morning, my view out my window was very much changed. Like, normally I can see pretty far downtown, but it was like very, very hazy, very, very smoky. And for some people, they're really lucky that it doesn't, like, maybe they don't notice the effects, or it just like doesn't affect them as much. I think that I got really unlucky because I had a sinus infection last week, which like got all through here, was like real tender and real swollen and real congested. And then it also made my ears hurt as well, because it's all connected. It's all connected in there. And so I spent the weekend convalescing and feeling a lot better for my convalescence. Like, oh my God, she bonked her head on the coffee table real hard. You weren't even paying attention. She went to go get the ball and she bonked her head real hard on the coffee table. That was adorable and so sad. And yeah, the wildfire smoke, it just got me again. I can feel it. Like when I came home last night from my friend's house. Hi, baby. You feeling a little better after you bonked your little head? She did that thing where she hit her head and then she had to shake out her whole body to like let go of it. Oh, the poor thing. Oh, the poor thing. So, when I got home yesterday from my friend's house after we watched Event Horizon and he made me dinner, it was real sweet. I could feel it in my ears. I could feel it really, really like, oh, it's irritated and it's unhappy again. And I know that I shouldn't be, because I recognize the like deep environmental impact that it's happening, that it's like happening all over the planet. But I did whip open ChatGPT and was like, hey ChatGPT, you know I had a sinus infection last week. Could the wildfire smoke be exacerbating that today? And ChatGPT said yes, absolutely. If you're already recovering from a sinus infection, if you're already recovering from like an illness, the smoke can definitely exacerbate your symptoms again and make you feel like you're taking steps backwards instead of forwards. I can feel it also here underneath my cheekbone. Oh yeah. But you look great today. Thanks, Dashing. John says, I have VIP at Veld Music Festival in Toronto the first weekend of August. DM me if you want to come out. Oh, that'd be so fun. Yeah. I'm always a little bit wary to like talk about my like plans outside of stream, because I'm never going to forget that young woman who got murdered going to a concert because she told her followers that she was going to this concert. But it wasn't just that she like told her followers she was going to this concert. She told her followers that she was going to the concert, and then when one of them approached her in the parking lot of the concert and was like, can you come sit in my car and just talk with me? She like went alone with him into his car and spoke with him. So, thank you so much for the offer. Yeah. Keep your eyes on your DMs, baby. Who knows what'll pop up in there? The Veld lineup looks really good. It looks really, really good this year as well. So I hope you enjoy yourself, even if I don't end up taking you up on your offer. You'll still have a lot of fun. Still have so much fun. The Niagara region, says Sean, went from clear blue, death by sun, to oh god, death by smog, and it had me coughing, taking the dog out. Yeah. It really hit me like last night after, I mean, I didn't even go out that much yesterday. I like kept all the windows closed, had my air purifier running, had the fans running in my house as well. I really tried to do my best to mitigate as much of the smog as I possibly could. But it still got me. It still took me down a peg. It was inescapable, I guess, because I have to take my dog out for a walk. But we went for really, really short walks yesterday. Like, we weren't outside for more than 10 minutes. Yeah. Canadians are built different. What do you think it is? This is very true. This is very, very true. I guess it could be like numerous factors. Number one, we must survive the cold, desolate winter months. And it toughens you up. It really does toughen you up to have to like go through winter and survive it, because it is not an easy thing to make it through the winter months. So I feel like winter has a big effect on it. But then the like downside to that is that there are lots and lots of young people in Canada who end up suffering from multiple sclerosis, which is like an autoimmune disease of the spinal cord, I think. You can correct me if I'm wrong. And they're not entirely sure why the instances of it are so high in Canada. But people have theorized that they're like, well, maybe it has to do with the cold. Maybe it has to do with surviving those cold winter months consistently every single year. For like about 6 months of the year, it's real fucking chilly. It's real cold. So I think it's like, it toughens us up, builds a ton of resilience, which is really important, like super duper important is the resilience. But then also apparently it can have some like really negative effects on our lives as well. I also think that Canadians have a much higher sense of community and trust in our community. It seems like Americans have a lot of like adversarial experiences with their neighbors and with like their fellow men. And I'm not saying that Canada is like, you know, a perfectly unified front. Absolutely not. There's a lot of people who have a lot of different ideas. And it always really like astounds me. The things that like people believe and the things that people feel and the things that people subscribe to. Oh, speaking of subscribing, subscribe to my channel, guys. Surprise me. Yeah. I think also there's less Canadians, right? There's like much less of us than there are Americans, so there's a like sense of our own preciousness. We like view each other as a precious thing, because for every 10 Americans, there's like 1 Canadian. So we gotta take care of each other. We gotta take care of ourselves. Each one of us is like a special thing, because there's not a whole bunch of us. There's like more Californians than there are Canadians, basically. And that's a crazy ratio. Roy Stang, you know it's live. Sean Yu says, I'm sorry you had to deal with the smog on top of the smoke rather, on top of the prior complications, so that's the worst. I'm hoping that because today it's like mostly cleared up, like I guess the wind changed and it blew it elsewhere, I'm hoping that by tomorrow I'll just like feel 100% back to normal. And this morning I took like a Claritin to help with the sinus pressure, and I took a Tylenol and an Advil to help with the pain. So I mean, I'm doing everything that I can. And more than that, what could anyone ask, right? Yeah, you just do what you can. And you show up and you make conversation and you do your stream and your audience loves you for it. Thanks, audience. And also drinking lots of tea with honey and milk. I definitely have my tea with honey and milk here as well. Afrin nose spray works well for me when I get congested. Claritin too, but it takes a few days to work really. Oh, interesting. The Claritin that I got, I was so surprised the first time I opened up the package because they're like quick dissolve tablets. You don't swallow it. You don't swallow it and it doesn't go down to your stomach. You put it in your mouth and it just dissolves automatically in your mouth. And based on nothing, literally based on nothing at all, I'm like, oh, I feel like this makes it work faster. Yeah. Something about the quick dissolve nature of it. I'm just like, oh my god, it's instantaneous. I guess it's because I want it to work up here. And if it dissolves in my mouth, I'm like, oh, okay. It's just gonna all the way up to there. I don't think that's how it works. I really don't think that's how it works. But if you take the pill and it goes down your throat and down past your chest and down into your stomach, I'm like, oh no, it has to go through your stomach and then get absorbed and then filter its way up to your head. It doesn't make any sense to me that I'm just like, yeah, if it dissolves in my mouth, it just goes boop right up into the sinuses. But then maybe that's actually how it works. I haven't looked this up. I don't know what the science is. I have no fucking clue. Winter Raven says, V, I love your hair today. Yeah, my Sailor Moon buns. Yeah, my little bun head. We need that guy to come into chat who always calls me Bunhead. I'm his bun-headed honey. I love that Darien in the English translation. Although there's two different translations of Sailor Moon. It calls her Meatball Head. Because her hair's like meatball and spaghettis. And I think it's so sweet and it's so funny. And then he loves her so much. And then he just loves her so much, but he still teases her. Because he's a bastard. Megan 2 is out today. It sucks that it was not very well received. The first Megan was absolutely wonderful, was really, really great. I feel like it's one of my favorite recent horror movies. And then what they did with Megan 2, it was kind of an interesting direction for them to take it in. And I'm not surprised that it wasn't a particularly well-received direction for them to take it in. I already saw that it was basically dead on release and it'll be out digitally in 3 weeks. Yeah. The story of Megan 2, which they also just told in the trailer. I was so upset that when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh yay, they're making a Megan 2. And then the longer it went on, the more I was like, stop! Stop telling me the story. Is that there's another robot that's really big and really evil and really terrible. And that they have to enlist Megan's help to defeat it. And I understand the desire to not just remake the first one. Because in the first one, Megan is the antagonist. Megan is the one who is doing all the murdering and is the evil force. Lurking in the shadows and causing so much destruction. So you can't make a sequel that's basically the first one again. Unless you're obviously doing Return of the Jedi and A New Hope, which are basically the exact same movies. This is why The Empire Strikes Back is the superior Star Wars film. But yeah, a lot of people were just like, I don't want Megan to be the hero. I don't really care about this new villain. It didn't do super duper well. I'm not surprised that they're going to release it on streaming sooner rather than later. Because I guess there's a possibility that it could get a really intense cult following. Not unlike Event Horizon. I got to rewatch one of my favorite movies last night, Event Horizon. It's perfect for me. Like, when I think of, like, a perfect horror movie, I absolutely am putting Event Horizon, like, a very, very close to the top of that list. I fucking love Event Horizon. I love all the characters. I love all of the set design. I love the pacing of the movie. Although this time, in rewatching it, which is probably like my 20th, 30th time rewatching it. Oh, Jay, welcome back. Welcome back. I was a little bit more aware of, like, some jumps, like a couple of jumps around in the storytelling. And I think that was very much because the original cut of Event Horizon that was shown to test audiences and to the production company, they were like, oh my God, it's so violent. It's so over the top scary. Paul W.S. Anderson, you need to cut it down. You need to, like, sanitize it a little bit. You need to adjust it because it's too intense and it's too scary and it's too out of this world. And I think you can kind of, like, once you understand that, once you know that little, like, fun fact, I think you can kind of tell where that happens in the movie. There's, like, one cut in particular where Captain Miller, played by Lawrence Fishburne, yeah, exactly, Gold G. I knew you would get it eventually. Where Lawrence Fishburne as Captain Miller sees a hallucination of, like, a former shipmate haunting him. And he's like, oh my God, this, like, ghost of my past is haunting me. I am terrified. And then it just immediately cuts to him and the rest of the crew standing on the bridge discussing the, like, hallucinations that they've seen. And my friend turned to me and was like, wait, what the fuck? How did he get out of that situation? And I'm like, I guess he just walked away? Like, that's a good question. How did he get out of that situation? There is no satisfying answer. He just goes from, like, standing in the room with a flaming ghost, threatening him terrifyingly, to then just, like, standing on the bridge, like, conversing casually with his crew, being like, have you seen anything weird on the ship? Have you noticed anything strange since we arrived? And I'm like, oh yeah, that cuts a little, it's a bit of a jump around. It's a little here and there. I still like it though. I think it kind of works. I think it works for a number of great reasons. I don't know if this was the intention of the director or of, like, the editors in putting those, like, types of scenes together, where they have, like, really terrifying moments that just kind of, like, then pop out to, like, and it's not all the time. Sometimes you do see the full reaction of each of the individuals experiencing the haunting on the ship. You definitely do get some of the, like, the full reactions of them, like, screaming and running away. You get these, like, nice, like, tracking shots of them running through the ship, and you get a sense of, like, what a labyrinth the Event Horizon really is. But I also think it does make sense that Lawrence Fishburne would see the ghost of his, like, former crew member and then just him just, like, popping straight onto the bridge, because terror and fear activate different parts of your brain, and something that is not activated is, like, your memory storage. A lot of times our brains are designed and operate under that, like, we can only hold on to the most important things. And being, like, really, really horrified and terrified is very, very important. But getting away from it is, like, not necessarily the most important part of it. Getting away from it can just be, like, you know, an override of instinct. And the override of instinct isn't allowing your brain to go, we're going to remember, we're going to store all of this. We're going to keep all these bits and pieces together. So, because the movie is very, very much from the perspective of the crew of the Lewis and Clark, I think it makes sense that sometimes it jumps around a little bit, that it's not perfectly, like, synced up in all of the individual moments back to back, because they're terrified, they're hallucinating, they're 8 billion fucking clicks away from the nearest, what did he say? What's the exact words that he uses? The nearest, like, scouting post, I think, maybe? They're, like, out by Neptune. Hanging out by Neptune. And they're all alone in the empty, vast ocean of space. And just like sailors on boats would, like crossing the Atlantic and the Pacific and all those places, they would see some real crazy shit. I love reading about all the crazy shit that they would see, like the sea monsters and the ghost ships and the fucking phenomenons. I mean, for so long, people didn't believe sailors when they talked about rogue waves. That like the ocean would be nice and flat and like maybe like a little bit wavy, and then there would be like a rogue wave that would be like 1,000 times bigger than all the other waves around it. And I feel like it was only recently, in the last like 5 or 6 years even, that people discovered that, yeah, rogue waves are a real thing. They are unpredictable and they are devastating. Absolutely devastating. It's the part of Event Horizon that frustrates me the absolute most. Like, just grinds my gears and makes me want to reach through the screen and just slap Sam Neill. Is right after they find the Event Horizon, they attach the Lewis and Clark to the ship, and then they send a small boarding party on board the Event Horizon. And one of the crew members goes to investigate the gravity drive, which is like what makes the Event Horizon such a special ship. It has the ability to create a black hole, which is what it uses to fold space and time and be able to travel these like incredible distances. You guys know in Interstellar and in a couple other movies, they'll take a piece of paper and they'll fold it in half and they'll like punch a pen through it to explain how black holes are able to create these sort of like connections over vast distances rather in space. Event Horizon was the first movie to do that. That they had one of the writers create this like incredibly technical, complicated explanation of how the gravity drive works. And Paul Anderson was like, this is great and this is wonderful that the science is here, but we need to really simplify it like in the most uncomplicated way for our audience. And they came up with the idea of taking the piece of paper, folding it in half, and just punching the pen through it. And they were the first ones to do it. I love that they reused it in Interstellar. But as soon as I saw that, the first time I watched Interstellar, I was like, that's from Event Horizon. They took that from Event Horizon. I love it. It's my comfort horror movie. It breaks a lot of standard tropes that horror movies, like, unfortunately fall into. That, like, the minute they get to the Event Horizon, multiple members of the crew of the Lewis and Clark, they're like, this ship is evil and terrible and I hate it here. And nothing anybody tells me is going to make me feel any other way. Like, Sam Neill's character, Dr. Weir, he goes on. He like just goes on and on and on. He's like, no, it's perfectly safe. It's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with the ship. And like, he's crazy. He's like super duper crazy. They show how crazy he is. And I love that the crew members are like, you are wrong. You are just absolutely fucking wrong. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Clever name. Hey-ya! Says such a good movie. I'm so glad you love the Event Horizon as well. Sorry, I'm glad you love Event Horizon as well. I love it too. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I'll never get sick of watching it. While I was watching it with my friend, he was like, are you jumping at all the scary parts? And I was like, yeah, because I know they're coming and I like jumping. Doing it on purpose, baby. Manufacturing these thrills and chills and that nervous system stimulation. He's like, you must know that this is coming. I'm like, yeah, I know it's coming. That's why I'm getting ready to fucking jump. It's why I'm tensing myself up in anticipation of like, ah! The scary thing is coming. The scary thing is coming. It's a great sci-fi horror movie. Yeah, and Golgi, you were thinking of the movie Sunshine. Sunshine is another really, really wonderful, horrifying space movie. It's not so much like ghosty horror, the horror in Sunshine is very much like humanity's downfall and, you know, the dangers of people. People are dangerous. I've seen Event Horizon is a good flick. Was that the first time that you saw it, or have you seen it before? Oh yeah, like been rewatching it basically every year since the first time I saw it, like in the early 2000s. Just loving it all the time. Very cool film. From what I can remember, it was unique. It was nicely made. I would go so far as to call it genre defining. I really would. I really would. I would say that Event Horizon, like, set an incredible standard for other horror films set in space. Seneca, 8 months in your dedicated service. What a good boy. I love to see it. Epic says, I haven't seen Event Horizon for like a decade or more. Oh, you gotta. Oh, you absolutely do yourself a favor and rewatch it. I think it holds up. And my friend who I showed it to for the first time yesterday, he was like, I would give it a B. Like, it's like a solid, like, B movie. He's like, I don't know if I'd give it an A or a B plus even, but he's like, I would give it like a solid B. And I was like, okay, I think that's fair. Like, that's pretty fair. I would give it an A minus. The only thing that I would change about it is that I would add back in the horror, like the really terrifying, scary horror elements that they asked to be taken out. Because I'm like, we can handle it. We can handle it. Give us all of it. Give me all of it. I wish it was just like a little bit longer. I wish there was just like a little bit more Event Horizon to enjoy. I really, really love it. But even he was like, that was good. He's like, there was a lot of good parts about that. It was very unique. It was refreshing to see the characters be intelligent about their situation. Because too often in horror movies, they just use stupidity as a plot device. And I don't love that. I really don't love that. I feel like I have to like encounter stupidity as a daily struggle. I don't want it in my escapism movies. No, thank you. Oh yeah, another really good sci-fi movie, surprisingly good, is The Edge of Tomorrow. It really suffered from bad marketing. Nobody went into that movie expecting what they got. And it was kind of a blessing in disguise, maybe. That the previews of The Edge of Tomorrow didn't do a good job of explaining what the movie was going to be like. So for many people, they were just like, I'm gonna roll the dice on this movie, this like sort of like generic Tom Cruise war movie. And you were so greatly rewarded for it because it definitely became one of my favorite movies. Edge of Tomorrow, absolutely. Like, if a friend is ever like, do you want to rewatch The Edge of Tomorrow with me? I'd be like, yeah, abso-fucking-lutely. Obviously, we don't love that Tom Cruise is a Scientologist. And obviously, I have really strong feelings about any person who is estranged from their children. It just is, it's one of those undeniable red flags that I will never ignore. That if somebody's children are like, I don't want anything to do with them, I don't want to talk with them, I don't even want to be associated with them, I take that shit to heart. I really notice it. I don't ignore it. He has children. Yes, Tom Cruise has a number of children. And none of them want anything to do with him. Suri was his like full biological daughter with his ex-wife, Katie Holmes. And Suri wants nothing to do with Tom. Katie Holmes also like wants nothing to do with him. I also think that Tom Cruise had some adopted, like maybe 1 or 2 adopted children with Nicole Kidman. I feel like they adopted maybe like 1, I can't remember if it was 1 or 2 children. But I don't think his adopted children or his biological children want anything to do with him. Okay, yeah, according to Wikipedia, he has 2 adopted children with Nicole Kidman. Yeah, feel like I've seen pictures of one of them, and then the other one is like really, like, doesn't want to be in the spotlight, enjoys their privacy. Absolutely. Yeah. So that's a big red flag for me. If your children don't want anything to do with you, that's alarming. Alarming in an undeniable way. So it's very difficult for me to like get really on board with Tom Cruise. It's one of the situations where I'm like, I wish that I could just like really clearly separate the art from the artist. Because I like a lot of Tom Cruise's acting. Like, Eyes Wide Shut is one of my favorite movies as well. And I think he does a literally phenomenal job in that movie. But then you can't deny that, like, that personal life stuff is off-putting. Off-putting. Oh no, don't even, no. I don't ever want to hear any man speak about Brooke Shields ever again. Brooke Shields got the short end of the fucking stick. She just, like, she began modeling at 11 months old. She was put into so many inappropriate, uncomfortable situations. Like, give me a genie and 3 wishes, and I feel like I would use almost all 3 of them on Brooke Shields, just to give her the life that she truly deserved and not the life that she was forced to live. She just seems like such an incredibly sweet, kind woman, and she was like put in the path of a whole bunch of really terrifyingly scummy people. I don't like it at all. The cult women have to have? Do you mean, is this in Scientology, Gamer Acid Snake? Is that what you're talking about? Women have to have a silent birth. They can't say a word. Oh yeah, in Scientology. They're not allowed to say a word during their birth. It's crazy. No. That's so inhuman. That's so ridiculous. It's very important to make noises during that process. To like breathe and to scream and to huff and to puff and like chant and fucking communicate with your ancestors and stuff. That's so inhuman. It feels like all the bits of Scientology that I've ever heard about, like every cult, is just like putting up impossible to obey rules just to be able to punish people for not being able to obey these impossible to obey rules. Oh, geez. Seneca says that Event Horizon was originally planned as a Warhammer 4000 movie, but they lost the licensing halfway through. Is that true? Did Warhammer 4000 exist in 1997? I had no idea that it had been around for so long. I do know that, like, there's a very strong connection between the Doom video games and the movie Event Horizon. Like, to the point that people have theorized, may have theorized that Doom and Event Horizon take place in the same universe. Because they're not that different, right? Like, in Doom, you're, like, a spacefaring motherfucker, and you come across, like, demons? Space demons? That's very much like the Event Horizon. It's crazy how everyone was just like okay with Blue Lagoon and stuff. I mean, lots of people were not okay with it. It's just that those people were not considered important enough to listen to. But like, there were lots of people who were really grossed out and weirded out by it from the very beginning. It's one of those things of like nostalgia and perspective, where quite often it's presented as like, oh no, this was like, well, this is just how it was at the time. This is just like how people were then, like with the misogyny and with the like pedophilia and with racism especially. But then like once you scratch below the surface of people saying this is just how it was at that time, you start seeing that there was lots of people who were not like that at that time. There were tons and tons of people who were like, this is not the norm. Just because like a very vocal minority is engaging in these prohibited and reprehensible acts is not an actually accurate reflection of our society. Oh yeah. Happy big birthday shout out to the Cancer folks out there. Enjoy your season. Thank you. Yeah. Some of my best friends are Cancer folks. Hello, beautiful. What's good, Aiden? Do you know who Corey Haim is? Yes? He was like one of the Coreys who was very famous in the 90s, but I might be getting him mixed up with another Corey. I think that he went and did an interview with Barbara Walters, and he talked about how there were a lot of predators and a lot of pedophilia in the entertainment industry. And Barbara Walters, like, terribly. Oh, wait, was it Corey Feldman? Yeah, or Corey Haim. I do get them mixed up. I think a lot of people, I think it's a common thing for, like, a bunch of people to get them conflated. Because they were also, like, together quite often. Barbara Walters is a terrible, rotten bitch. Fuck Barbara Walters. How dare she treat him that way? It's incredibly brave and terrifying to talk about abuse. And the people who do it should not be made to feel like they're doing something wrong. It's the predators, it's the abusers who are wrong, not the victims who speak up about their experiences. The newer Doom games are very good to play. I've never played any of the Doom games, but really enjoying Event Horizon. I think I should give it a try. Fujiru! Hello, hello, hello! Good day, my dear. Oh, V, I'm watching a horror movie now. Yay, what are you watching? Is it Event Horizon? McFlurry Mac says, yeah, a lot of people like Clark Gable, who refused to act in Gone in the Wind when he saw the segregated restrooms on set, and then they removed them the same day. I just read about that, yeah, on Reddit the other day. That Clark Gable was like, what the fuck? There'll absolutely be no segregation. Not on my film set. Yeah. Because it wasn't the norm at the time. It wasn't appropriate, and he recognized that and wouldn't stand for it. Oh, Behind the Bastards podcast did like a 7 or 6 part series on Oprah. And like, Oprah got people killed. Oprah got people sent to prison for no good fucking reason. Oprah's influence and power was unprecedented. Like, absolutely nobody in the realm of entertainment had that type of societal sway and importance. And she really pushed the satanic panic of the late 80s and early 90s. And it was so inappropriate. She literally had a guest come on to her show and talk about, like, her family was eating babies and her family was a Jewish family. Like, she was platforming blood libel. Like, it was entertainment, and it's sickening. It's absolutely fucking sickening. It's very, very wrong. I read Oprah and Dr. Bruce Perry's book, What Happened to You, and I really enjoyed it. I, like, connected with it very closely, and I was like, oh, I didn't know all this about Oprah. Like, wow, I love Oprah. I had no idea. And then again, I just listened to that podcast series, Behind the Bastards, about Oprah, and I was like, wow, Oprah has done an amazing job of rebranding herself and presenting herself as, like, this underdog who overcame all these terrible things. And it's like, no, Oprah threw the average person under the goddamn bus to keep herself moving up. Fuck Oprah. The new Doom games are very fast-paced. I hear that people with motion sickness can't really stomach the new Doom games, which kind of sucks. Oh, I've never gotten motion sickness from watching anything. I've heard about that a lot, though. Like, Moulin Rouge. The, like, opening sequence of Moulin Rouge gave, like, a ton of people who went to go see it motion sickness. But I've never gotten it from that. I do still get motion sickness driving in cars with people, though, which kind of sucks. Yeah, Dr. Phil did an intense amount of damage to just, like, the American society. Sowed a lot of distrust. Yeah, Betty White was also a real one who, like, would not kowtow to racists. Good for Betty White, yeah. You don't get to be a billionaire by being a good person. This is very true. It was something that was so frustrating to like bump up against early in my streaming, that anytime I would express my opinion that I'm like, there's no such thing as an ethical billionaire, like all billionaires are bad, you cannot accumulate that amount of money in a decent way, I would have a like really shocking number of people in the audience very personally offended by my opinion. And it's not what I had expected at all from those types of conversations. I did not anticipate that people would be so upset by my opinion that like every billionaire is a bad billionaire. Even Rihanna, like, she didn't become a billionaire from her music sales. She became a billionaire from her cosmetics line. And if you're selling a product and you're earning like enough money to become a billionaire, then you must be really, really underpaying your employees and overcharging for your products. That's the only way that it'll work in that way. And we would have so many people arguing. It's really crazy. Just like so many people. Very ready to like lick boots. Ready to lick the boots of billionaires who like don't give a fuck about them. Like there's not one billionaire who would be like grateful or happy or like, I don't know, appreciative. It's vanilla Earl Grey tea with milk and honey. Oat milk, not like dairy milk. I haven't had dairy milk in years, I think, even. Yeah. Okay. So that's cool. How's your day going? It's good. It's good. It's good. Had a really interesting dream last night. In that I went to my childhood home that I grew up in, and there was a new family that was living there. And the mother of the family, who was like, it was like two little boys under the age of like 7 years old. And the mother of the family was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you're here in my dream. She's like, I need you to babysit my sons. Can you do that for me? And like, I used to work at summer camp. I've worked as a nanny. I volunteered at a school for a while. I'm good with kids. I can definitely babysit a kid for a few hours. So in my dream, I was babysitting these two little boys, and one of the little boys went into the kitchen and like ate a whole bunch of food out of the fridge. He like ate like a whole block of cheese and like got into the cold cuts that were for the sandwiches. And he just like ate a whole bunch of food and like made a mess in the kitchen. And in my dream, I was like cleaning up in the kitchen with the two little boys there with me, kind of like telling them, hey guys, this isn't cool. If you want a snack, you just have to ask me for it. But you're definitely not allowed to just like dive into the fridge and eat whatever you want, because we have to do things in a sort of like clean way. We can't just like eat whole blocks of cheese. And then in the middle of this dream of me cleaning the kitchen and like gently reprimanding these two little boys, this guy walked into the back door of the house, and he was the kid's regular babysitter. And he was like, oh, stranger danger, I don't recognize you. I don't know you. I've never seen you before. So like, you can't take care of these kids. And I was trying to explain to him like, oh, like I met their mom earlier and she had to leave for whatever reason. So like, I think I'm just here like filling in until you showed up basically. But he like took the two kids away, and I was like, oh, that sucks. Like, I don't want him to think that I'm a bad person or that I'm doing anything wrong. And then later in the dream, he comes back with the two kids, and he's like, hey, sorry about my reaction before. But like, I called their mom, and she told me that like you had shown up and that you had agreed to babysit for a while. So like, sorry for like my intense reaction, but like, you seem like a nice person. So like, I apologize for my initial reaction. I thought it was so funny. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I've never had that in a dream before, where like normally in my dreams, the first way that somebody starts behaving towards me is like the consistent way. There's not a lot of like character development in my dreams usually. And so I thought, even while I was dreaming, I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting you to like have such a 180 on your opinion of me, and all of a sudden be like, oh hey, actually you're a totally cool person and I really like you. Which I think is amazing. I love that my dream was able to surprise me a little bit. Yeah. To be frank, most people work for companies that have ethical questionability too, so we kind of feed into that system as well. I mean, we don't really have a choice. The world is not designed for us to be able to make these types. There's not a choice given to us. It's either starve and die or throw yourself into the capitalistic meat grinder. Those are your options. And a lot of people do just choose to die. It's not an uncommon choice. Aiden says, V, I've always learned working for a boss doesn't work out always. They never pay the right amount for a salary. I think that's like a really, really common experience from so many people. I agree, yeah. That like the amount of effort and energy that you're putting into the work is never fairly compensated. Gonna go have a power nap. You be good. All right, Golgi, enjoy your power nap. Clever says, I think the kids in your dreams are like us. They wanted you to be mean to them. You can't fucking afford me being mean to you, you worthless idiot. You're not even subscribed to the fucking channel, let alone gifting subs like you fucking should be. You're a disgusting, worthless waste of space, and I won't even acknowledge it. Won't even acknowledge you. I know what you want. I see what you need. Yeah. Being a boss takes an insane level of disconnection from real life to be able to lie to your employees about raises. Yeah, Rightus, I agree. It's why I quit the Disney Princess company that I worked for so many years. Basically, throughout my entire 20s, I worked for a Disney Princess company here in Toronto. And I really enjoyed it. I really, really loved it. But it was also undeniable to me that our boss was taking an unfairly large slice of the pie. That she was not running that company because she wanted to give good opportunities to her employees and provide like wonderful experiences for her clients. She really was doing that job so that she could live her fantasy life, which included like expensive cars and expensive vacations and a big fancy house. And as her employee, it was incredibly frustrating and dehumanizing. That like we would have a Christmas party every year. And like one of the first Christmas parties that I ever went to, she gave us all really wonderful Christmas gifts. Like we each got like nice personalized presents. We even got like little like zip up hoodies with like a crystal logo like stuck on the back of the company. It was really fun. It was really great. She did a wonderful job. And then the next year at the Christmas party, instead of us getting like nice individual presents and like thoughtful Christmas gifts, it turned into like a raffle. And there was like 7 nice presents that we would all like get. There was like a raffle draw. And the main prize of the night was a bottle of Chanel No. 5 perfume, like to give you like a reference point for how much money she spent on these presents. The main, most expensive, like biggest gift was a bottle of Chanel No. 5. And I ended up winning it. I never in a million years suspected that I would. I was like just as shocked as all the other girls. But once I won it, I felt terrible for every other girl at that party because I was really expecting, like I truly believed that what was going to happen is that I won the Chanel No. 5 and then my boss would be like, and to show my appreciation to everyone, you all get a bottle of Chanel No. 5. I thought that it was like going to be like a bait and switch kind of thing. That like she would make it seem like I won the grand prize and that I was just getting the bottle of Chanel. But then it would actually be that like everybody was getting a bottle of it and everyone was going to get the same reward. I think that would have been good. I think that would have been the right way of doing it. That is not what happened. That is not what happened at all. It literally was just me who won that single bottle of perfume, and like the 20 other girls who worked for the company got nothing basically. Like basically got fucking nothing for the Christmas presents that year. It was just like, I think that was my last year of princessing. I think it rubbed me the wrong way so intensely that I was like, there is no point. And of course, I mean, I probably don't even need to tell you. You can probably already guess from the way that I'm talking about the company. They were the type of company that would say over and over and over again, we're a family here. We're not really much like a business. It's a lot more like a family. We treat our employees like their family, not just like their employees. And like, that's such a huge red flag. It's such a gigantic red flag. If your boss is like, we're more like a family here, that means that they're going to feel really justified in taking advantage of you, because they're going to play on the like tenderness and the love in your heart. Oh, it's just so frustrating. If any company tries to hire you and they say we're more like a family here, run. Run from that interview. Don't look back. Save yourself from hell. Does that mean that you were like acting as a princess for parties and things? Yeah. I played I played 6 princesses and 1 doll. Yeah. And that's how it felt working in the warehouse, says Ritus. I was doing 2 people's jobs and getting paid the same amount as the kid who was slacking off and having to pick up after him. I left to go study, but I was going to leave for the unfair pay. Oh yeah, when I was a nanny, I had the exact same thing, Ritus, that when I started working for my nanny family, they had a morning nanny that got the kids up and fed them breakfast and took them to school in the morning. And then they had me, who was the afternoon nanny, who would pick the kids up from school and bring them home and then take care of them until their mom got home from work. And the morning nanny she had like gone to, I think maybe George Brown or somewhere, and she had like done a culinary class. She had done like a culinary undergraduate degree, and she would do all the cooking for the kids, and she would like make them breakfast, and then she would even prepare their dinner, so that all I had to do was like heat up the dinner that was already prepared for them that morning. But then one day, I think we were at the cottage. Yeah, I think the morning nanny was at the cottage with their family, and the morning nanny got distracted, and one of the kids got out of the house, which was on a lake, which is very dangerous. Like, if you are with children anywhere near water, you need to keep them under your eye constantly, because children and lake water it's a recipe for drowning. And drowning it takes like a few minutes for the child to drown. And they could just like slip and fall into the water or think that they can swim, and then that's it. So luckily the little kid didn't drown, but he got out of the house and he was walking down the like really long road that led to the cottage. And the mom was driving down the road and like found her son alone walking on the road. So the morning nanny got fired for that. She was let go because that's a pretty big fuck up. Like losing the kid, not being able to find them, finding the kid like walking unsupervised down the road. It was a pretty big fuck up. And then all of a sudden, I didn't have to come in the morning, but it was my responsibility to now do like all the cooking, all the cleaning, all of the childcare. And then their mother was deeply disinterested in being a mother, to the point that the mom would not go to work many days. Like there would be a lot of days that the mom just wouldn't go to work, but she would hide her car in the garage, and then she would close and lock her bedroom door and pretend like she wasn't home. And I would go to the kids' school, and I would pick them up from school, and I would bring them home. And I wouldn't be allowed to like bring them in through the garage. I would have to bring them in through the front door, which was like such a hassle because I had the big stroller. It was 2 kids, and they would both fit in the stroller. And I would have to like try to squeeze the stroller through the front door. Oh my God. And then it would be so heartbreaking that the kids would be like, I want mommy, I want to spend time with mommy. And I would have to lie to those children and say, mommy's very busy at work right now. Like, mommy's not home right now. I know that you want to spend time with her. And like literally their mother was in the next room, in her bedroom, watching TV on her iPad. I felt so bad for those fucking kids. I really, really did. And I tried my best to like teach them like good values and to like be a good role model for them. But I also noticed that like any time that I would go more than 2 days without seeing them, I would come back to their family and I'd just be like, everything that I taught them and everything that we worked on is just completely undone. Like, the younger child was a little boy. And he was like 3-4 years old while I was nannying for him. And I was like, yeah, he needs to be potty trained. He absolutely needs to learn how to use the toilet. This is really important. It's kind of harder with little boys. Little girls are very interested in not wearing diapers. Little girls are like enthusiastic about getting potty trained. And little boys are a little bit more comfortable just like sitting in their own filth or having somebody else change their diaper. So it's a little bit harder to potty train little boys. And that part was so frustrating that like I would work with the little guy all week, every single day, being like, we're gonna go to the bathroom every half hour. And if you don't need to go to the bathroom, that's okay, but we're gonna practice like pulling down our pants. We're gonna practice sitting on the toilet. We're gonna wash our hands. We're gonna dry our hands. We're gonna practice flushing the toilet. We're gonna do all of this so that you learn how to do this yourself. And then I would come back on Monday morning after not being with them over the weekend, and he would just be like, nope, I just want to wear my diaper. Nope, I just want you to change my diaper. And I'd be like, why the fuck does this mom not want her son to be potty trained? Like, why is she forcing him to regress? It was just so frustrating and so just demoralizing. I felt so demoralized. I was like, I can't in good conscience let this little 4-year-old boy continue to wear a diaper every day, because he was starting to be bullied by his classmates, because a lot of his classmates were already getting out of that stage and he was not. He was just like acting like a baby, being such a little baby. And it's like, you're 4 years old, dude. Like, you should already be like thinking about like, how do I become like more of an adult? That's like an appropriate milestone for children to start looking forward towards. And he just was not. Yeah, it was really sad. Aiden says, I worked for 4 years as a restaurant manager and the boss never paid his partner. Never paid his partner, so I lost that job. I got paid a very small amount every week. Oh no, the restaurant closed due to partner disputes. I learned that restaurant work isn't stable because restaurants can close down if they don't make money. Yes, yeah. Oh yeah, let's take our first break of the stream. So you're doing streaming full-time as a job now? Kind of. I mostly do streaming part-time. And then I'm also doing like acting work part-time as well, which is very fun and exciting. Yeah, it was kind of obvious that that woman did not really have any interest in being a mother with the 2 nannies. Yep. Yeah, it was very, very fucked up. Subservient, why the fuck aren't you subscribed? How dare you not be subscribed to my channel, you worthless moron. I love that Daily Push is like, you were a better person for those kids to be around anyhow. I don't know. You know what? I mean, it's important for kids to have good role models. But first and foremost, those good role models really should be their parents. And it's not enough for it to be like a nanny or a teacher or like a family friend. Like, it really does need to be the parents. Yeah. Okay, guys. I'm gonna go take a picture of my adorable little outfit. I'm gonna post it on Instagram for you, and you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. BRB. I did it. I took the picture and I posted it for you. Go check it out on Instagram, guys. It's a great picture. I was wondering if I should grab some of my Sailor Moon toys and use them as props. But I'm like, you already have a camera in your hand. You don't need more props. So it's obviously I love my fucking props. But not always to the benefit of myself or the photos that I take. Sometimes less is more. I'm just here to check that you haven't turned inside out. Yeah, like that fog that turns people inside out. That's a good joke, Rich. If only you were actually here to mod. Samdog says, rumor has it that all judges aspire to play basketball on top of the local skyscraper. It's the highest court in the country. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Basketballs. Baskets and balls and the baskets that ball. Hi, baby. Come on up. Oh, watch the tea. Rich, you really made that joke in the mod room and it went absolutely nowhere. And then you came into chat and you're like, no, the joke's really gonna land this time. I just need to make the same joke again and then everyone's going to love it. Yes. Wildfire smoke is not the fog that turns you inside out. They're different things. They are different things. I think the joke would have worked better if it was really foggy instead of wildfire smoke. Rich really thought he had something there, didn't he? Maybe you do. Maybe you do, and I'm just too much of a smoked up curmudgeon to get it. Am I a curmudgeon, Bao? Are you a curmudgeon? You do look like a very handsome old man, who are often the most curmudgeon-y in our society. And yeah, if we had a ton of fog, we could make a Silent Hill comment. We were talking about Silent Hill yesterday. Can't escape it. And there was a woman who posted, I love the cosplay subreddits. They're very friendly. The internet in general is not always a super duper nice place. It's kind of unavoidable that there's going to be little pockets of nasty people on the internet everywhere. But then there's also pockets of places on the internet where people are just so kind and so sweet and so wonderful. And I would definitely say that the cosplay subreddits on Reddit, redundant, they're so nice. People are really, really polite and incredibly fucking helpful. And they're just there to make your dreams come true. And there was somebody who posted, I think it was a Silent Hill, I don't think it was a full game. Maybe it was a Silent Hill DLC or a gamette. You know, a little version of the game where there was Sakura Head. It's a Silent Hill monster, and it's this scary looking woman, but her whole head and a big part of her body is just all covered in flowers. And this cosplayer was like, how would I do this cosplay? And everybody in the comments was like, just buy a bunch of fake flowers and start gluing. It will become apparent to you in due time. You just need to start gluing. Don't stop gluing. Once you start gluing, don't stop. Yeah, baby. Oh, it hasn't even come out yet. Oh, that's really interesting because I feel like I saw that picture years ago, and the game hasn't even come out yet, I'm guessing. It's for Silent Hill F. It could very well be. Maybe my sense of time is completely fucking wrong and off the rails, but I thought that had already come out, and I thought it had come out years ago. But if it's still up and coming, that's exciting. That means I can play it upon launch. It has been a few years since it was announced. Okay, that makes sense. That aligns with my perception of time then. Yeah, I saw it, the poster for it, and I was like, this is so fucking cool. This looks amazing. This is gonna be so awesome. I guess I should have noticed that I had not seen any follow-ups. It's coming out in the fall. Ooh, this fall? Something to look forward to after the summer. That's exciting. Yeah. I always wonder, but I think it's for the best, that we don't really know what's going on in these game studios. Like, why does it take so long for it to come out? What is happening behind the scenes? It's probably nothing good. It's usually not anything good. I think this is why Nintendo is so tight-lipped about the Animal Crossing games. Because they don't want people to go through all that speculation. Hi. Hello. Are you smelling my incredibly fresh breath? Because I so stupidly... very, very stupidly this morning when I was brushing my teeth, drooled toothpaste and drool all over the white tank top that I was wearing, and I had to switch to this white tank top. Thank God I have more than one. Ashley got invited to a convention for the game and got to meet the composer who did the music for all the games and the head writer for Silent Hill F. That's so cool. That's exciting. That's wonderful. Oh, yeah. Was that recently? Maybe we'll get more images of Sakura Head. It looks cool. It's a cool looking fucking monster. I love a monster that inspires me and also terrifies me. I'm like, hey, that could be me. Yeah, it was like a week or two ago. So cool. So cool. Because time is just a flat circle. Time really is a flat circle. It absolutely is. I feel like I read recently that people are really starting to get on board with the idea that our entire universe exists within a black hole, and that could explain a bunch of our like gaps in the knowledge that we have about our world and about our universe. That if we exist within a black hole, that fills in blanks. That explains a whole bunch of stuff. And I agree. I also, from the first time that I heard that theory, that like our entire universe exists within a black hole, everything around us is just like, would then technically be a hologram, because the black hole would flatten us out, but we perceive everything as being three-dimensional in our four-dimensional space. I was like, that makes sense to me. That feels right. That rings true. Just based on feelings. You're a flat dog. Even though you look at how three-dimensional she appears. I think everyone assumes that she's still a puppy because her ears are so oversized. You'd think that she would grow into them, but they're still so big that sometimes in the wintertime when she goes to sniff the ground, her ears will get little... You get snowballs on your ears from dragging on the ground in the snow. Yeah, the whole universe is just a hologram inside of a black hole. It makes sense. Oh, is that the spot? Oh, I love getting the spot. Oh, yeah, we love finding the spot. Mike says, it blew my mind recently that a broken piece of a hologram retains all the information of the whole hologram. It's wild stuff. I have no idea what that means. I can't even begin to understand what it means. My first question is, aren't there a bunch of different types of holograms? And is it true for all holograms? Hi. Oh, we gotta scritch the puppy right in the right spot. Oh, I'll start researching it for you. Okay, good. Yeah, come back with answers. Oh yeah, we have tons of holograms. Like, you can go to like holographic concerts. Like Gorillaz did a holographic concert where they had all of the characters, like Murdoch and Noodle and fucking... I can't remember the names of all the other gorillas yet. They'll come to me. They had them like dancing on stage and performing on stage, yeah. But then I'm like, so those types of holograms, that can't be the same thing. Like, if you broke that hologram, I don't think that like it would retain its entirety. I think that's like a performance hologram, which is made up of like a bunch of many different little parts. So I'm like, there has to be lots of different types of holograms, right? Is Burger King very popular in Canada? Yeah, there's like Burger Kings all over the place. I'd say so. We also have Harvey's. I don't know if you guys have Harvey's in the States. Harvey's is also very, very popular. And Harvey's is like gourmet shit. At Harvey's, you get to like watch them make your burger right in front of you. It's none of this like you do your order and things go on in the background and then they just like present you with a fully made burger. At Harvey's, they kind of do the like Subway style where you get to like look at them make your burger and put it all together right there in front of you. Harvey's is really good. When I worked at the Disney Princess Company, there were like several princesses who also worked at that company who would only eat Harvey's. They were like, this is like the only fast food that I will eat. There's like Star Wars holograms. Yeah, those were used for communication, right? Help me, Obi-Wan. You're our only hope. We only have a few Burger Kings. McDonald's is the kingpin here, though people line up for local burger places and they taste so much better. That's totally fine. Yeah, that makes sense. That's how it should be. You should support your local burger places. Yeah, McDonald's is popular all over the place. Everywhere. I am blind today. Don't worry about it, right? As you were typing, it's totally fine. You can't. I don't think you can mod and type at the same time, and I don't expect you to. Yeah. First thing, I am on time this time. Very good. And 2, Harvey's is GAS. Is that good as shit? And overall, the local burger places are cheaper too. That's interesting. I don't think I would have expected that, but I think that's like a wonderful, unexpected bonus. There are a lot of like smaller burger chains in Toronto. And I used to live really close to like one burger place, like just the local burger place. And they were the ones who did the fried egg on the burger. Harvey's is, oh no, it's not GAS, it's gas. As in like what you would put in a car, it's a good thing. There's so much new slang all the time. Every day there's brand new slang. Finding new ways of saying the same things over and over and over again. Yeah, lucky us. Did you play any Animal Crossing today? No. Nah. I find that if I like wake up and I play video games, it's kind of what eats up my whole entire day. I have to save video games for the evening. I have to save the video gaming for the evening. Those are the safer hours to dive into it. Because then I can just like blink and wake up and it's like 5 hours later. And that's why we don't have Starbucks here, says Ritus. Our local coffee shop chains are just cheaper and they don't let Starbucks set up shop here. That's good. That's really, really good. Starbucks had this really terrible habit in Toronto of purchasing the places that other local coffee shops used to be in. That they would like take over the local coffee shop's lease, set up a Starbucks knowing that they weren't going to actually put the effort into making it sustainable, and then they would close it down. So like, it's not even that Starbucks wanted this location because they were going to stay there and service the community. It did really feel like they were just trying to push out other local coffee shops to then leave a vacuum, which would maybe then force people to go to like the more popular Starbucks already established stores in other parts of town. It was really frustrating, and I feel like the city of Toronto must have done something to stop that from happening, because it doesn't happen anymore. But it was really common, like in all of the neighborhoods, yeah, that you'd be like, this is my favorite local coffee shop, and oh, and now it's a Starbucks, and oh, and now it's nothing? Terrible. Absolutely fucking terrible. Briley B says, and calc is also short for calculator, chat. Just start using slang all the time. there's a double-edged sword. There's like a diminishing return for slang, where like you're using it to communicate your thoughts and your feelings, but also if it's so esoteric that nobody knows what you're saying, it kind of defeats the purpose of trying to communicate anything at all. Bryce McFashion says, I always just say one more round and then it turns into 6 hours of gaming. Ain't that just the way? Yeah. Yeah, Starbucks was maliciously eliminating the competition. Yeah. Star Cucks was just losing more money than anticipated. Oh, so you think it wasn't like a purposeful malicious strategy? You think it was just like an overestimation on the corporate side? I think that's possible as well. Yeah. It might not be as purposefully, intentionally malicious, but like it had the same negative effect. Hey, soft little dog ears. Oh, Val, are you upset because nobody's gifting subs today, Val? You're right to be upset with them. They're all terrible disappointments for not gifting any subs today. You're correct. Look at how miserable she is. She's looking around sadly. Where the fuck are the simps today? Apparently not here. Too bad. I know. It is too bad. It's a terrible thing to see. I am King Envy says, okay, bet you can't answer 200 times 3,000. Bet you can't answer that without a calculator. Says Bride the Beast. It's 60,000. And wow, he's totally using a calculator. Can't you just like do 2 times 3? And then add some zeros all together? Oh, that's actually part of a meme. You can't know all the memes. Yeah. You have to, that's what friendship's about. Friendship is about bringing you up to speed with all the memes. Yeah, definitely the city of Toronto, where I live, in Canada. You stupid idiot. Oh my god. I love this guy's first comment is, wearing your sandals on the table? Americans are so weird. Well, I'm Canadian and I live in Canada, and we're definitely allowed to wear whatever shoes we want, especially if there are indoor shoes. Okay, buddy. What? What's wrong with you? Why are you so, like, curmudgeon-y? And this guy has literally just said nothing the whole time. He's been following me since 2019, and he hasn't said anything. He's just been posting the same fucking emoji over and over and over again, not contributing anything to the conversation. Yikes. Get out of here. Yes, the city of Toronto, in Canada, where I live. And yep, you're allowed to wear sandals inside. I think you'd be surprised how many people wear, like, a pair of indoor shoes in the summertime. It's not that weird. Also, how sad and small and insignificant is your life that you have to make a big deal about this at all? What's wrong with you, buddy? You need someone to talk to? I remember during COVID how many shops shut down and they didn't get any help from the city. Dog eat dog world, unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah. Calculator is long for calc, by the way. Yeah, awesome sauce. This is definitely like a meme that people are doing online, I guess. That's cool. I'm glad it makes you happy. It's neat. The best scene was in Sopranos where they try to extort the Starbucks and the manager is just like, I'm gonna have to ask corporate. Yeah, ain't that just the way? Damn, you look good, girl. Thanks, babe. I mean, you can do whatever you want in your own home, no? Yeah, you really can. Including having a pair of indoor sandals that you just wear inside. Kind of like slippers, but even more comfortable because they have arch support. Oh, puppy dog. Yeah. Yeah, puppy dog. Why would you say nice legs and then put the sarcasm emote afterwards? You seem like an asshole. Do you know what that emote means? Because you just seem like an asshole saying that. Ooh. Hey, you're pushing my cup around. Don't do that. I love that you don't even know what the emotes you're using mean. I will never forget when my weirdo neighbor snitched on me for swearing in my own apartment to my parents. What the fuck? Why? Why? What do they get out of that? That is so weird. What a ridiculous thing to do with their time and energy. I mean... I guess some people's lives really are that small and insignificant that they have to insert themselves into other people's lives to have any sense of fucking meaning. Oh my god. You almost just want to be like, dude, read a book, subscribe to a magazine or something. Give your life some purpose. Luckily, my parents were like, okay, yeah, that guy's weird. I was hoping that's what your parents' reaction would be. That's what my reaction would be. If somebody was like, excuse me, your kid was swearing in their house. I'd be like, good. It's a healthy way of dealing with frustration. Better than punching holes in the wall. Is that what that emote means? Yeah, I'm just using them based on the way that they look. Oh, no, there's like particular meanings in the emotes, yeah. And that one means that you're being sarcastic or you're saying something to the opposite of actually how you feel. So saying nice legs and then using that emote means that you're being sarcastic, which means that your compliment was going to be taken as an insult. So the more you know. Yeah. This guy says it's literally just a face of someone awkwardly smiling. And I mean, hieroglyphics are literally just like pictures of like birds and reeds and stuff, but they still have meaning, even if that's not apparent to you on the surface. Oh wait, was one of those a misclick? Yeah, one of those was a misclick. That's okay. I wasn't being sarcastic at all. I really meant that your legs are nice. It's okay. Now you know. I mean, that's why I explained it to you, because it seemed like you were trying to be genuine, but you were not doing it in the right way. Yeah. That other guy was not making a good first or even second impression. Yeah. Not a big fan of that other dude. And it's something that I think, it took me a while to realize this, because it's not like apparent, and it's not obvious right away. But, so like that other guy's comment, Alvar, I think their username is. He comes in and he says, oh, your feet, your shoes are up on the table. Americans are so weird. There's nothing wrong with saying that. Absolutely not at all. I mean, other than the fact that I'm not an American, I'm Canadian. But like, having that thought or that feeling is totally fine. But in normal society, that's a comment that you would make to one of your friends as part of a conversation that you have in private. I was watching this girl on Twitch, and she had her feet up on the desk, and she was wearing a pair of sandals. Americans are so weird. And then your friend would respond, that's crazy. I would never do that either. Americans are super duper weird. And that would be totally fine. But I get the feeling that that person doesn't have any friends. So they have this thought and this feeling about me, a complete random stranger who they've never met before. But because they have no people in their personal lives to speak with or to talk to, these thoughts and these feelings have nowhere to go but towards the person that they're thinking them about. And it's very sad. And it's very, very sad. This person obviously is not, like, very friendly. Probably doesn't have anyone to actually speak to. And so I am the one who has to hear it. Even though it's like, it doesn't matter what I do in my own home. It has absolutely nothing to do with, like, oh my god, you're wearing your shoes and you're putting your feet up on your desk. Yeah, that's okay. I don't usually, like, touch this side of my desk very much. I think it's totally fine. It's also not that hard just to, like, clean it up a little bit after stream. If I get some dust or dirt there, it's absolutely okay. But I've really noticed this is, like, the main thing about being a Twitch streamer, is that a lot of the comments that you get feel like, why am I hearing this? Why are you talking to me about this? Of all people. And it's because loneliness, it really is an epidemic. It's that a lot of the people who come online with these, like, negative attitudes and, like, critical thoughts, they don't have anyone else that they can speak to. They might not even have, like, even one other person that they can talk to about their thoughts and their feelings. And so they just let them all go on the subject of their thoughts and feelings. And it makes me feel very bad for them. It definitely makes me feel sad for them because I'm starting to notice it more and more. That, like, I think it's fine if you think Americans are weird. That's, like, your opinion, man. I think it's totally fine if you're like, oh, shoes up on the desk, that's kind of weird for sure. But very much like how, like, Ritus's neighbor, like, told on them, it's like, you can just keep those opinions to yourself or share them with your close group of friends. Unless you don't have a close group of friends, in which case then I guess it's just gonna come out on whoever will listen to you, but I'm not willing to listen to just whoever, especially when they're criticizing me for just relaxing. Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with, like, putting your feet up in your own home, on your own stream, just enjoying yourself, having a good day. Yeah, there really isn't. But then again, there's also, like, nothing wrong with falling in love with somebody and marrying them and starting a family with them. But people will find all sorts of reasons to, I mean, tell you that, like, no, this isn't the right way of doing it. You're doing it in the wrong way. You're bad about this. You're a sinner. You're a terrible person. And it's like, why? Why? Because I'm just living my personal life? Why do you care so much? How do you care so much? And yeah, maybe they don't have enough to care about in their own lives. Go get it. Yeah. I also, says Ritus, feel like they're mirroring someone else's controlling behavior and they think that it's acceptable behavior. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like what we were talking about with, like, The Big Lebowski and how Walter's character is, like, uncomfortably controlling about everyone around him. Like how he didn't like that, I forget what the character's name is, but, like, the other bowler puts his toe over the line and Walter's like, am I the only one who cares about the fucking rules? It's like, I mean, does it really matter if your toe is a little bit over the line this one time? And that sense of control against other people is, yeah, definitely something that they are maybe not even aware of, but definitely trapped by. Good evening. Hello, Viking. Welcome to stream. V, you speak so well. Thank you. I practice a lot. Bowman. Oh, no. Bowmage. Ah, there you go. Shy Guy says, yeah, I don't have anyone to talk to and it's pretty hard. I'm not saying that it's not hard, but the most wonderful and the most fulfilling and the most important things in our lives are hard. You're absolutely correct. Having a group of people to speak to, having a group of friends, having those intimate connections, you're right, it is really, really hard to maintain it. And it is a lot easier just to be on your own and to be by yourself. So don't let yourself take the easy way out. You have to, put yourself outside your comfort zone. You have to engage with people, even if it's not always going to be perfect. And it's a numbers game. like dating. Like, you can't just date one or two people and be like, oh, I'm never gonna have a boyfriend, I'm never going to have a girlfriend. You can't just like engage one or two people and be like, oh, I'll never have a group of friends, I'll never have a best friend. You gotta keep trying. You gotta keep putting yourself out there. And that's how you build resilience as well. Hyperspace says, I love your hair, by the way. Thank you. I'm rocking my Sailor Moon buns today. Yeah. McDougal says, hey again, I care about you. Wait, what's the context? We're talking about friendship and friend groups and how when you don't have friendships and when you don't have a friend group, it's kind of like a perpetual motion machine of loneliness. If you don't have people to talk to, it makes you much worse at talking to people, which then will make you feel like you don't have people to talk to, and it just keeps going and going and going. Yeah, you're doing it wrong, says Biking Viking, aka, I've only experienced my own way of living, and I have no concept of how other people's point of view and how different their experiences may have shaped their minds and lives. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Being confronted with something that we don't understand almost invariably makes us like have a kind of negative social reaction and like a negative personal reaction. But being mindful and mature is going, this makes me uncomfortable in a way that I don't understand. And that's okay. Rules are rules, dude. Exactly. That's what Walter says. And then he pulls out his gun. That's crazy. That's such a crazy scene. Him like pointing a loaded gun at a person in a bowling alley. And like everybody else is just like, oh man. I mean, I like that they said, they're calling the cops, dude, put the piece away. They're calling the cops, dude, put the piece away. And I'm like, oh man, if Walter was black, that scene would have been very different. Very different. Daddy Candace says, looking very cute, comfy, and positive today, V. Yeah. The smoke from the wildfires that blew into Toronto yesterday did a fucking number on my sinuses. Really like increasing like the pressure and the pain here and in my ears a little bit. But I just drank a big full liter of Earl Grey tea with lots of milk and honey in it. And I think that helped. I think it helped like calm down my whole sinus cavity and everything in there. Hyperspace says, I got a ton of online friends and that helps too. It really does. It really, really does. Our society right now is the first time in humanity that our social circles are not geo-locked. For tens of thousands of years, humans had no choice but to be friends with people who lived right around them. And I mean, at most, you would live around like a couple of tens of thousands of people if you were super duper lucky to live in a big city. And those numbers compared to how many people there are in the world are tiny, absolutely minuscule. But now we have the potential to be friends with literally any number of people from all over the world. Look at my European friends right here, right now. They don't live anywhere near me, but we're still friends because of the internet. I had a lot of friends in school, but everybody moved on. So here's the thing about that. A lot of us have friends in school because of school. And it sucks because it sets us up with this expectation that friendship is easy. But the reality is being in school is what makes friendship easy. You have to show up for class Monday to Friday. You can't really escape it. And so you're being given obligatory friendship times. Once you're out of school, you don't have that obligation to be in the same place on the same days at the same time. And that will change your relationship to your friends, and that will change friendship. And having friends is a very, very small part of friendship. Being able to accept and adapt to the way that friendship changes is the most important thing. And it's something that I don't know what to do about that. I've had it myself as well, that I've like made and lost friends because our friendships changed. The nature of our friendship changed, and sometimes we could adapt to the new style of friendship that we would have because of our circumstances, and sometimes we just couldn't adapt to the new style of friendships. And also, sometimes just like dating, the more you get to know somebody, the more you realize, like, oh, this friendship worked because it was, in the beginning, on a very surface level. It was a very surface level friendship. And once you start getting deeper into it, you realize that you're like, I don't think that this person and I are actually very compatible. I had a friend like that, and I was like, I thought I was pretty close with them, and we were like friends for a few years. And then as I started like growing up and getting more mature, I couldn't stop noticing that this friend would just talk down to me. That it didn't matter what we were talking about, they would always kind of talk to me like they were the teacher and I was the student. And it didn't bother me at first because it hadn't been happening too often. It was like every once in a while we would hang out and I would just notice that like her perspective on me was that she was very smart and she was doing everything very right, and she was explaining to me the smart, right way of doing things. And I was okay with it for a while. And then just one day I was like, I don't want her to talk to me in this way anymore. And that's where things change. So you have options at that point. You can talk to them about it and be like, hey, I noticed that when you talk to me, it's kind of in this tone that you're the teacher and I'm the student, and that you're not really in a dialogue with me, but more that like you're lecturing me and that I'm some sort of like audience member who is just supposed to sit there and clap when you stop. Or you do what I did and you just discontinue the friendship because it's not my responsibility to change them as a person. I don't even think that I could. And also, I don't think that would ever really work. A lot of people are very set in their ways and they don't want to hear that they need to behave in a different way or adjust their way that they speak to people. It's oftentimes just better to be like, you know what, I'm gonna cut my losses and I'm just gonna find other friends. And I think that was the really, really good choice because I would prioritize hanging out with her over other people. And I think that was not good for me. And now that I've sort of stopped being her friend, I've made a lot of new friends that I don't think I would have had time or the courage to go out and meet. And these friends are way more give and take. Like, when they're lecturing me about something, it's because I am happy to sit there and take in their knowledge. And then when I speak, they're very interested in the things that I'm an expert in as well. McDougal says, I don't appreciate my best friend sometimes. He talks as if he gets paid by the word and gets docked $1 for every word he lets you get out. Yeah, that sounds familiar. That sounds very familiar, yeah. Yeah. I met this guy a couple weeks ago, and the first time that we met and the first time that we were hanging out, he told me, he was like, it's really nice talking with you because I can tell that you're actually listening and you're not just waiting for your turn to talk. And I was like, yeah, I love listening to you. I want to learn about you. I want to understand you and your perspective. And also, I've put effort into being a good listener because I was not just born a good listener. And I'm not always a good listener. I definitely sometimes, zone out or don't pay attention, or I do just, wait for my turn to tell my part of the story. That definitely happens. But you can take that feedback and you can be like, okay, I'm going to practice just, actually listening to you and asking you questions about yourself. No friends equals not sharpening the social tool set equals harder to make friends equals a cruel cycle. Yeah, it really does. It really does. Absolutely. You're looking like Minnie Mouse today. Yeah, I've had a couple people say that it looks like I have little mouse ears. You need to watch more Sailor Moon. Everyone needs to watch more Sailor Moon. Yes. The shared space is what only worked for that friendship. Exactly, Rightus. When you think about, I had such good friends in high school, and I had such good friends in university, or, I had such good friends, from work, even. It's well, were those really good friends, or were you just in the same space at the same time every single day, living the same experience? As you get older, you have to learn how to make friends with people whose experiences are going to be vastly different from yours, which for a lot of people is just, baseline the most uncomfortable thing imaginable. As an adult, says Nate, you have to treat making and maintaining friendships as a bit of a chore. It is. It's like a tedious task, but completely necessary. The plans and the connections do not make themselves. And also being flexible with them, again, like I said before, with the friendships changing. Like, I've had friendships where I've gone months without speaking to them. And for some people, it's totally fine. And for other people, they take it really personally. I had a friend recently who was like, hey, I haven't like heard from you in weeks and months, and you haven't been talking to me. Like, is our friendship just one-sided? And I was like, you know what? I did fuck up. I haven't been reaching out to you. You're right. And I wanted to explain to them, like, these are all of my justified reasons why I haven't reached out to you. But also, that's not what they were talking about. I did just need to acknowledge with them that, like, I do recognize that our friendship has changed and that I need to put more effort into maintaining the friendship because it's going to hurt your feelings if I don't reach out to you. I've had to remove friends, says Nate, from my life that have been around for like 15 plus years, and I'm close with people that I never even knew existed for a few short years ago. Many such cases, I feel. Yeah, being able to accept the like fluidity of friendships, that like you can't like really like tightly hold on to the sunk cost fallacy. That's something that a lot of us go around, that like, well, I've known them for so long, they've been my best friend for so long. It can feel like a failure of sorts on your own part to be like, I'm gonna let this friendship go because I've known them for so long. But I think it's okay. I think it's okay. In Japan, they had this idea of like the red thread of destiny. And sometimes the thread can unravel, sometimes it can be cut, sometimes it can be pulled apart, but it can also be repaired and rewoven and reconnected as well. I think it's hard to let go of it, but I think it's also very necessary. Yeah. Biking Viking says, there's an enormous potential for resentment if you try to be honest to supposed friends about things that you dislike about their behavior. Really important to evaluate if it's worth the energy. Yes. Yeah. Sometimes it can be really good. I had a friend of mine once. This was a very complicated situation. A third party who was at like a social gathering with her heard her speaking negatively about me, and I confronted her about it. I was like, I've heard that you've been saying like mean and nasty things about me behind my back. Why are you doing that? It really hurts my feelings to hear that, especially because I was not going through an easy time. Like, I had my reasons for not being a positive and kind person to be around. Swell Dude, thank you for the 8 months in a row of subscribing. Welcome back. And when I confronted her about it, like, why are you saying negative things about me behind my back? She was like, because V, sometimes you make jokes that hurt other people's feelings. Sometimes you're mean in the jokes that you make. And nobody likes it. And it was really painful to hear, but it was really important to hear because, yeah, I think everybody, to be honest, I think everybody does. I think every person on the planet has made a joke that has probably hurt somebody's feelings. I don't think any person on the planet is immune to that, but I was making a habit of it without realizing it, and I was really grateful for her to tell me that because now I'm a little bit more aware of that. I still don't think it excuses her shitty behavior, but I think she was going through her own stuff as well, and I'm not here to like change her behavior, but I am here to change my own behavior. Cloud the Original says, your tan lines look perfect. Yeah, they do. I love my tan lines. Make me feel sporty and summery and like a story of my life right here on my skin. Awesome Sauce says, I am such a worse listener compared to before COVID. Do you think so? Have you noticed that really? That's really interesting. I don't know if I feel like I'm better or worse since COVID. I think I became much more comfortable being alone after COVID because we had to be alone during COVID. And I know that hasn't been very good for me because I've definitely like blinked and looked around and been like, am I lonely? So I've been making an effort to like reach out to a lot of friends and plan lots of friendship hangouts with them. Rita says, like the friends that I have from trade school, I do feel like we were drifting apart because we finished school. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's exactly what happens. Yeah. Thank her for her honesty in telling you about like the jokes that hurt people's feelings. And then still follow up with that throat punch, though. I think from my perspective, Braxy Bear, good advice, absolutely. I think from my perspective, she was saying negative things about me behind my back because she wasn't feeling good about herself. I think that, like, people are gonna shit talk when they don't feel good about themselves. It's a great way of just, like, drawing attention to other people's bad behavior because you don't have enough going on in your own life to talk about. You don't have enough of your own positive assets to bring to the conversation or to the relationship. So you just shit talk other people. And I still really like her as a friend, but we're definitely not as close as we were when we were, like, in school together. Yeah. I have made one joke that I still super regret to this day, and I don't even know what got me to make that joke. It was so out of the norm for even me to make. Yeah, right. I mean, I think you made that joke so that you could have the perspective of, like, I'm never gonna do that again. The other day in stream, we had somebody come into chat and be like, V, what attributes do you want for your ideal partner? And my response was, like, I wasted a lot of time in my 20s thinking about my ideal partner, like who that person would be. And I definitely don't think about that anymore. And the person in chat misunderstood what I said. And he was like, oh, so, like, what other regrets do you have since you say that you, like, regretted wasting all that time thinking about the ideal partner? And I was like, it's not that I regret it. I'm grateful that I made that mistake so that I could learn. That's how most people learn, is by making mistakes. We're not great at just hearing people's life lessons and then being perfect. We oftentimes need to make like you did, make a mistake by making a joke that is, like, out of character for us, or, like, behaving in a pattern of behavior that is, like, not helpful to us. And it's valuable to do these things. You're not fucking up. You're not making a mistake. We have, like, a really intense aversion to what we consider failure. So, like, not having a good, close-knit group of friends can make you feel like a failure. That's not true at all. Not even a little bit. Not having a fancy, high-paying job can make you feel like a failure. And that's not true at all either. None of these things are failures. But society subtly warps our perception of what is good and what is bad, what is acceptable and what is unacceptable, in these ways that it's like, failure is terrible. Like, making a joke that, like, hurts somebody's feeling is seen as a terrible failure. But failure's a really good thing. One of my best friends was telling me about this content creator who has made it her mission in life to go out and fail at things. Like, she sets herself up for failure. She goes, I'm gonna try doing this thing, which I know will not work, and then I'm gonna fail at it, and I'm gonna share that with my audience. And it's been really wonderful for, like, her audience and for her as well. That you're like, I'm not gonna be good at this, I'm not gonna succeed at this, but I'm still gonna try, and I'm going to fail. Biking Viking, in response to Awesome Sauces, saying, I'm a worse listener before COVID than, I'm a worse listener compared to how I was before COVID. Biking responds, that's interesting. I became a lot better at putting my thoughts to text during that period. And I partially profited from it from speaking too, taking more time to think before saying something, and all the texting during that time. It definitely changed a lot of our society, absolutely. Rita says, if I have gripes with a person to the point where I would shit talk them behind their backs, I would already just, like, not want to talk about them. I hate that two-faced behavior where one moment you shit talk a person and then the next you're hanging around them acting like nothing happened. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely okay to be like, I don't like this person and I don't like what they're doing. But keeping it to yourself is usually the better, like, modus operandi. Yeah. Okay, guys, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go take a quick little break. Don't go anywhere. I came back. I posted the next photo on Instagram. I hope you enjoy it. And then I popped open Reddit just to see what the news is doing. What's going on in the wide world of the news? And one of the first articles that I saw was about paranormal investigator Dan Rivera, who was taking the Annabelle doll from the Conjuring movies, but she's like a real doll. He was taking her around on a tour, and he was found dead in his hotel room. I don't want to trivialize anybody's death because that's inappropriate and wrong, but also my brain just automatically is like, that doll killed him! Annabelle killed him! Annabelle killed him. Holy shit, Annabelle. Oh dear God. Oh my God. There is probably a very logical explanation. Like, you know, a lot of people's like diet and lifestyle can contribute to shortening their lives. But the least logical part of me is like, the doll killed him. The haunted doll took his life. Holy fuck, Annabelle, Jesus. The Conjuring movies, which were like the first time that I had ever heard about Annabelle or the Warrens, who were paranormal investigators in the 1960s, the 1970s, and I think they were actually like going for quite a long time past that as well. But that was like their main prominence was during those decades, I think. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Those movies were so fucking well done. I love horror movies. I really, really do. But the fact that those movies were like based on true-ish events, based on like the actual accounts of these people, made them feel so much fucking scarier. I think there have to be things that we don't understand as people. There have to be like unexplainable bits and pieces of our lives. And I mean, I've had it happen myself even. My parents live in this like big old house that just is like so fucking haunted. And it's not even just like our house that is haunted. The people, our neighbors who live on our street, say that the street itself is haunted, and that our neighbors have told us that they feel like they've seen people like walking in front of our houses who are not actually there. And right after we moved into that house, my big brother is not superstitious in the least. My big brother is a very logical, very pragmatic person. He doesn't believe in that, like, there's things that are beyond our understanding. He's just like, nope, there's a logical explanation for a lot of the weird shit that people experience. And I've told this story on stream before, so, like, pardon me if you've heard it too many times. But my brother spent a lot of time just, like, up in his bedroom, like most of online computer people often do. But he would often just like, as he smoked cigarettes as well, he would like oftentimes like come downstairs and like say hello to me in the living room or in the dining room and just like talk a little bit before he would go out to smoke a cigarette. And one night I was in the TV room by myself watching TV, laying down on the couch like under a blanket, and my brother came into the room and he like sat down hard on the couch, kind of like on my feet. And I like, he seemed like he wasn't paying attention. I was like, what are you doing? Why are you sitting on my feet? What's wrong with you? And he was very freaked out. I was like, wait, what's actually wrong with you? Did something happen? And my brother was like, I was just talking with you. And I was like, what? And he had come out of his bedroom and looked down our main front hallway had like an open staircase. So you could like walk out of your bedroom and look over the railing and see the front part of the foyer of the house. And my brother was like, I came out of my bedroom and I saw you standing at the bottom of the stairs and I was talking to you. And he's like, and when I got to the bottom of the stairs, I realized that you were not there. And he like heard the TV playing in the other part of the house and came in. And when he saw me like laying under the blanket, he knew that he was like, I was talking to somebody who was not you. And he was so freaked out. He was so freaked out. I believed him. I absolutely believed him. that he thought he was talking to me, that he saw a girl who looked like me, which is like fucking a white brunette girl, a dime a dozen. But he was like, I swear to God, I saw you at the bottom of the stairs. I saw you. I thought I was talking to you. But it was not me. It absolutely was not me. I was laying down in the living room and I was watching a movie. I had not moved. He was very freaked out by that. Very, very freaked out by that. And then I had something kind of similar, not like as intense, because I didn't actually like look up, but out of my peripheral vision. It was around Halloween, and I was in my bedroom, in the same part of the house that my big brother saw this like ghostly apparition of a girl. And very similarly, my younger stepbrother and I were gonna go outside to like smoke a joint, and he was playing a video game and I was working on my Halloween costume. And we had agreed that like when he was done with his game, he would come and get me from my bedroom, and then we would go out and we would smoke. And I was working on my Halloween costume with like my focus on the floor in front of me, because I was like cutting out, I was being Princess Bubblegum. So I was like cutting out her crown out of like colorful paper or plastic. And out of my peripheral vision, I thought I saw my younger brother walk into the doorway of my bedroom, because I thought I saw somebody standing there, and I said to him, just give me a couple minutes to finish this and then I'll be good to go. And I finished cutting it and I looked up and there was nobody there. And I went into my stepbrother's room and he was in the middle of a game still. And I was like, did you just come to my room to go out for the smoke? And I was like, maybe he like went back to his room and started a new game. And he was like, no, I'm still playing the same round. And I was like, oh my God. So my big brother thought he saw me, and I thought I saw our younger brother. But then our younger brother never told us anything about like having paranormal experiences. But he also didn't really leave his room that much either. It was really fucking freaky though. Those were our experiences of like ghosts just in our own house that we could not explain. I'm very logical myself, says Viking Viking, and I have a low tolerance for supernatural beliefs, especially if they can clearly be explained by concepts like confirmation bias or straight up deny scientific evidence like homeopathy. Oh yeah, that's not a real thing at all. Oh yeah. My mom had seen a neighbor that she didn't know had passed, and then a few days later was talking to his wife, and then the wife told my mom that he had passed like 2 weeks ago. Yes. Oh my God, yes. Like, did he see her on the street? Because I had a friend from school who, he didn't die, but he tried to take his own life. And then he was like severely disabled after that incident. So like he was never out and about walking around the streets of Toronto after that. But I thought I saw him on the street constantly. Like I all the time was just like, oh my God, that's him. And then I would look a little bit closer and be like, oh no, that wasn't him. I was just thinking about him. But for me, that makes sense for me because I was thinking about him. I was thinking about like how he had tried to take his own life and how he had been like disabled forever thereafter. And so I was kind of thinking about him. But Rightus, for your mom, I don't think that makes any sense because it's not like your mom was like thinking about that neighbor in any specific way. So why would she mistake other people for him? That sounds so freaky. She saw a ghost. Yes, I consider homeopathy a supernatural belief. It's just illogical. It doesn't make any sense, right? You're just gonna take like a watered down version of this medicine and it's going to work because you just need like a minuscule amount of it? I don't know why that, just absolutely not. Oh, hello, miss, says Simpy Simp. Are you here to simp? I don't see any simping on your behalf. That's very disappointing. Perfect Calm asks, are you staying cool in this summer heat? Yes, yeah. I have a little itty bitty window AC unit, which is just, it's doing a lot of heavy lifting. A lot of heavy lifting. And I'm also very lucky that Canadian houses, although they're not really like perfectly designed to keep cool in the summertime, they're very well insulated because of the winter time. So if you can get the inside of your house to stay cool, if you can get the inside of your house to cool down, you can usually have pretty good luck at keeping it cool, especially if you're like good with keeping the windows closed and like not letting too much sunlight in, which can really heat up everything around you. Viking Viking says, for years after my brother passed, I'm so sorry for your loss, Viking Viking. I used to have dreams that included him, sometimes so incredibly convincing that even after I woke up, I needed a minute to realize that he was in fact gone. Those are so scary and like wonderful but also painful, where like you want to feel like they're still with you in a way, but not in the way that really counts. That's really crazy. I'm so sorry for your loss. Losing a sibling is incredibly difficult. I read once that losing a parent feels like losing your past. Losing a partner feels like losing your present. And losing a child feels like losing your future. But losing a sibling feels like losing your past and your present and your future all at once. Because our siblings are usually the only people that we get to keep and that we get to like live our lives with from the time that we're children into adolescence, into adulthood, and then also into old age. It's like there are very few other people that get to experience all of that alongside you. I think about that all the time. It feels very, very difficult to lose a sibling. Rita says, last week I made plans with a friend. We were going to travel to a different city for a concert, but that was just a dream, and I was so convinced in the morning that I went through all my chats with them. Yeah. When I'm in the dream, I always feel like it's very, very real. There was like one dream recently that I had that I was able to like recognize. That I was like, this is a dream, this isn't real life, I can wake up whenever I want to. But so many times in my dreams, I'm just like, this is real life, this is really happening. This is like the world around me, and it's very discombobulating to wake up and be like, oh, wait a minute, I'm in a completely different reality. Is this the real one? Sybil TV says, I dread losing my closest loved ones, and I can't help but think about the future and get sad about it sometimes, but that's life. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It feels really, really terrifying. Like, unbearably so. To recognize that the people that we love and the people that we feel the closest to, we don't actually get to keep them all the time. We will have to like say goodbye to them, and we will have to learn how to live without them. Yeah, but we are so lucky to have them now. And also that we get to hold on to the hope that there will be new people in our future who will never take their place, but will bring unexpected wonder and joy and kindness into our lives. Like there's always going to be new people who will give us that wonderful experience that we've had before with other people, and that we might not get again with them, but the potential is there with new people all the time. Think about all the wonderful stories of like very old people meeting one another like in retirement homes, or like after they've, I don't know, like moved cities because they're so old and they want to like have a final relaxing place, and then they meet somebody that they're like, oh, it's like they're my soulmate. And we're told a lot of stories that make it seem like we form all of the most important relationships when we're younger. And it is a lot easier to form relationships when we're younger, like what we were talking about with how like school and how like working in the same place can definitely be such a huge boon for making and maintaining those connections. But there are so many potential connections out there that we can't even begin to imagine that are just waiting for us if we can like be brave enough to put ourselves out there into those situations. Yeah. It's very difficult to practice gratitude, but it's the most tried and true way of maintaining resilience, which like when you look at stories of people who have gone through the worst personal experiences, the ones who have been able to overcome it and the ones who have been able to thrive and survive are the resilient ones. They're the ones who are like, yeah, this terrible thing happened to me. I lost so much, but I'm still able to be grateful, and I'm still able to like keep my eyes on the horizon. I'm not great at that myself. I definitely can find myself in like a doom and gloom feeling, which I feel like is pretty normal, especially for a millennial. But I guess I'm kind of tricking myself pretty often, being like, no, there's good things coming. There's positive effects in the world that are happening underneath our very noses. And we just have to be patient, and we just have to be open to that good experience. And then there's like some unexpectedly bad experiences. So I went to go watch Ghost in the Shell. It was playing in a theater, and I like went all the way there, and as I got off the subway, there was a couple in front of me, 2 people. And I don't exactly know why. Maybe it's because they were Asian and I'm racist. But I was like, they're totally going to see Ghost in the Shell too. Like, there were tons of people all around me moving in the same direction, like getting off and on the subway, walking up and down the street. But something about this couple just like rang out to me that I was like, they are totally, oh, welcome friends. Thank you, Raider. So I saw this couple walking, and I was like, they're totally going to see Ghost in the Shell as well. But they weren't walking as fast as I was, because I was like, uh-oh, if I don't get there quickly, I'm going to be late, and I'm going to miss the first couple seconds of it. And I got to the movie theater, and I sat down in my seat, and then a couple of minutes into the movie, as it had started playing, that couple came in, and they sat down right in front of me, and I was so mad, because I needed to see those subtitles, and their head was in the way of the subtitles. But I was like, oh my God, I was right. I was right. I knew that they were going to go see Ghost in the Shell. My racist belief that Asian people would want to go watch Ghost in the Shell was correct. And I didn't even anticipate it coming. Welcome, Raiders. And thank you, Metal Megs. Thank you for the raid. Hello, Raiders. Brace yourselves. I am braced. I am ready for you to come on in. Come on in. Speaking of old people in love, in Vienna recently, a story unfolded which reminded me that laws often seem unjust. Oh, geez. A 67-year-old retired gay man was hosting weekly swinger parties and provided drugs to his also male and old guests. And he's been sentenced to a year in prison for living his best life, and I can't stop thinking about how wrong it sounds when nobody gets hurt. Oh yeah, that feels like a really outrageous, like, use of that law. Where, like, giving drugs to people is not good. Drug dealing is very, very bad. There's, like, a lot of other terrible things that go into drug dealing, which is not very good. Like, taking advantage of people and, like, harming the community at large, and then also feeding into, like, illicit mafia groups. Who knows? I don't know a lot about drug dealing. I really don't. But this man was not like that. Oh, no. This guy was not doing that. He was just having swingers parties and providing drugs to his friends in, like, a controlled and safe environment in his, like, own abode, I'm imagining. That's very, very strange. I don't know what that's about at all. You would hope that the police and, like, the judicial system would be like, is this the most appropriate use of this law? No, it probably isn't. This guy is, like, just having a good time with his friends and such. But, oh, that's no good. Austria is extremely conservative in many ways. Yeah. I believe it. I believe it. That's a good ban, Ritus. Yeah, that's a bad joke to make. That is not a good joke to make. Again, that's the type of joke. He said, nice try, Diddy. Like, he's calling me P. Diddy. Because I'm like, oh, it's okay to have parties and, like, have your own drugs and your own party thing. That's not it. That's the kind of joke that you, like, make amongst private friends who you know really well. That's not really the kind of thing that you say to a stranger on the internet. No. You need to know your audience. You gotta read the room. And that's a no thank you. We certainly will not be adopting Germany's legalization of weed anytime soon. Which is such a shame. Which is such a fucking shame. Because the federal legalization of marijuana in Canada brings in a gigantic amount of revenue to the Canadian government. Like, I feel like the Canadian government made like $1 billion just off of the taxing of weed. And that's wonderful. That money can be then like invigorated into the community and into this country. And I think that's so wonderful, especially because like marijuana is one of the least harmful drugs you can take. But of course, driving with 0.05% blood alcohol is perfectly fine. Oh, you know what? In Canada, it's actually a little bit higher. You are okay to drive with 0.08%, and that's okay. But anything more than that's going to get you arrested real quick. Real quick. Yeah, which is good. But like, I mean, for most adults, 0.08 is like, you can have like 2 alcoholic drinks and then wait an hour or 2 and then be okay. Oh wow, 0.08 is wild. Do you think so? I think it's okay. It doesn't... I mean, like, that's not the issue that I would have with alcohol and driving. I don't think that having, like, 0.08... Yeah, it's the same as in the United States as well. It's, like, pretty, like, universal for North America is, like, the 0.08 is, like, an allowed amount of alcohol in your system to drive a car. As a motorcyclist who's in constant danger of getting hit by drivers who aren't concentrating enough, I would even go so far as demanding 0.03. Yeah, from your perspective, I absolutely, completely get it, yeah. What feels much worse than that is that I read recently, it was in the Toronto subreddit, that there was a man who has been caught drunk driving 5 times, and he's out on bail again. And like, I'm not super worried about the people who have had a tiny bit to drink and then are driving home. But the people who are getting absolutely hammered and driving like over and over and over again, don't let this person drive. How are you letting this person drive? There was a day even when I was in university with a bunch of friends, and we had been drinking, but we were eating dinner at the same time, and we got pulled over by a police officer, and the police officer was like, how are you doing tonight? Where are you going? And have you had anything to drink tonight? And the guy who was driving the car was like, yeah, we had a couple beers with dinner. And I was like, oh my God, why would you say that to the police officer? And the police officer was like, thanks for being honest. Okay, enjoy the rest of your night. Yeah, repeat offenders should be like an absolute fucking, like, you don't get more than one chance. You definitely don't. I don't think you should get more than one chance. Yeah, repeat offenders, yeah, more harsher punishments. I hate how often people are just kind of let go despite being habitual offenders, yeah. Awesome Sauce says, I know a man who has 7 DUIs and he still has his license. Those are the issues that I think we need to be cracking down on much harder. For me, I'm not super concerned about like the 0.08 or the 0.05 or 0.03%. It's such a low amount. Like for somebody of my body weight, to be over 0.08, I think I would have to have 3 drinks. And like having 3 drinks, I would definitely never drive. But I think if I have like 1, it puts me at 0.08. And I definitely don't feel drunk from like having 1 alcoholic drink. Absolutely not. But also, I don't really drink alcohol at all anymore. Yeah. Same goes for the road ragers. Someone with a temper, which makes them weaponize a vehicle, should not be allowed to ever get their license back. The road rage is very, very real and very, very scary. It's similar to being on the internet, where being in a car gives you a type of anonymity. Once you're inside the car, encased within the vehicle, you have this sense of like being in your own world and being kind of protected by the walls around you. And I understand biking Viking why you would feel the complete opposite of that, because as a motorcyclist, you don't have any of that anonymity. It is literally like you in the world with just the motorcycle underneath you. And road ragers, because of the like minuscule amount of anonymity that being in a car provides them, they feel incredibly justified in just flipping their fucking lids. Just going nuts, just like letting loose, just, it's not good. It's not good at all. It's very, very scary. There was, I don't know if this like stopped in the United States or if they just moved on to talking about different news stories, but it feels like there was a time there for a while where it was inescapable that like every single day you would log onto the internet and you would see road rage in the United States that would escalate to the point that people would be pulling out firearms and sometimes even like firing on other people's cars. I hope that that just became less prevalent because enough people saw it happening and were like, whoa, we need to step away from this. I hope it isn't just that they're like being reported on less because they're so commonplace that it's like, if we keep reporting this, this is all we're going to be reporting. Oh, I have shouted at people from the top of my bike, but that was always after they came close to killing me. Very fair. Absolutely very fair. There's a number of people in Toronto who have like incredibly loud speaker systems incorporated into their motorcycles. And I think that's a great fucking idea. I really, really do. I think being incredibly loud when you're on your motorcycle, and like, I don't really love the motorcycles that like adjust their mufflers to create like the big, like that is, I don't love that. Sometimes I cover my ears and it scares me and I don't enjoy it. But having the speaker systems, I remember the other day when I was at my cafe reading. It's not my cafe, but I feel like it's kind of mine because I love it there so much. I heard this guy's music and I was like, I bet that guy's on a fucking motorcycle. Because it makes everybody around you very acutely aware of exactly where you are, even on a motorcycle. I think it's great. I think it was a smart choice on his behalf to keep his music blasting. Also, I just liked the music that he was playing. It was great music. He had awesome taste. He drove by a couple times, and each time I was like, great, dude, fuck yes. Play your funky music. He was not a white boy, but you know what I'm saying. Just attach a train horn to your bike. Nah, oh, right us. Oh my God. I don't know about that. I mean, maybe yes. I feel like at that point you're kind of punishing all the people around you instead of just like giving them the awareness of you. Hey V, I love the hairstyle. Yeah, I'm rocking my Sailor Moon buns today. Loud exhausts are disproven as a means of safety. There is clear evidence that the majority of the noise is directed towards the rear and it's not going to save you. But on the contrary, it even has a high chance of scaring drivers and provoking an unwanted reflex. That's kind of what I feel, yeah, when the really loud motorcycles go by. I'm like, this does not make me like you. I don't want it. I don't like it. Playing the super duper loud music though, I'm like, it's a party. It's a party everywhere you go and I'm invited. Yeah, I'm joking. It'd be a little bit too extreme. Oh yes, yeah. The loud exhausts are really, really annoying, yeah. And I dislike every biker who proclaims the stupid loud pipes save lives. Yeah, I don't think that makes a lot of sense. I would also disagree with that. But I liked the music. I liked the partying. Not everybody around me did. There was a couple of older men at the cafe with me at the same time, and they were complaining about it. And I was like, I don't hate this. I would rather this guy blast really loud music to make his presence known, which was like also very like, I heard the music way before I saw him, because I think like the speakers were a little bit easier to direct out and around him and not just behind himself. And also loud music is fucking yeah, it's great. Oh, I'm real easygoing when it comes to music. So I went over to my friend's house last night. I'd never been over to his house before. He lives in like a really nice part of Toronto. He's not even that far away from me. And I was like, oh, I could probably like walk to your house. And like the walk would be like it'd be a pretty intense walk, but it'd be like a really nice walk because it's through a nice part of town. And my Uber driver was listening to the most upbeat, happy African music. It kind of sounded like like if pop music and all the music from The Lion King had a baby. And I was really into it. But then I also was like, is he just listening to the same song over and over and over again? Is this just one song played all the time? And I was like, nope, these are different songs that all sound really similar, But it was all very like pleasant and like it's just very upbeat African music. I loved it. It was great. I don't have Shazam on my phone, but as soon as I got into the Uber, I was like, should I download Shazam right now to find this fucking music so I can listen to it myself later? Bronculus says, holy fuck, your hair looks so cute. Got my Sailor Moon buns. Yeah. I love the Sailor Moon hair. Such an iconic hairstyle. To be honest, says Viking Viking, blasting music is better than exhaust, but ultimately a good horn is the only sane method. Oh yeah, but the music guy who motorcycled by, I didn't even hear him have to use his horn. I think everyone was very aware of where he was. Yeah, sounds like it was a great time in the Uber. Except that I did get really motion sick. I was really, really disappointing. I think it was a combination of, like, you don't know your Uber driver. So, like, my anxiety is that I'm like, I don't know this person, so I can't, like, anticipate their driving style. So I feel a little bit anxious about that. And also, this was my first time going to my friend's house. So I couldn't, in my mind, map out, like, where all the twists were, where all the stops were. He was in a neighborhood that had, like, some speed bumps as well. And so I got to my friend's house and I had just like sweat through my t-shirt. I was just like, yup, I just like sweat entirely through my t-shirt, just like overheated myself like fucking crazy with my anxiety. And I feel really bad because my friend had made dinner for us. He made like a really, really delicious bolognese sauce and like pasta with like a salad and like bread with like garlic oil to dip in it. And he made this like incredible dinner. And I arrived at his house and I was like, I don't know how much of this I'm going to be able to eat because my tummy is just in knots. But it was really, really good. I ate as much of the dinner as I could. I didn't have any of the salad because I was like, I don't know if I want to have like a bunch of different flavors. But I ate the pasta that he made and I ate some of the bread that he had prepared as well. And it was very, very delicious. And then we watched Event Horizon, but he was like, oh, I ran out of, he has like a little popcorn maker in his house. And he was like, I ran out of oil for my popcorn maker, but like I might have like some microwave popcorn. And then he was like digging in his cupboards and he found a packet of microwave popcorn. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. I think this will work. But have you guys ever had this happen? He microwaved it. I don't even think he microwaved it for too long. But I think that the microwave packaged popcorn had gone stale. So it just burned. It just like uniformly every single popcorn was just burned. Just burned. And he was like, oh, well, this is absolutely inedible and no good. So we went for a little walk to the corner store that like Toronto is so good for that. No matter where you live in Toronto, there will be an itty bitty corner store run by a person who was not born in Canada, but is the most like welcoming and lovely inviting person. And we got some like fresh microwave popcorn. Yeah, if it's old, it will just burn. I didn't know that. I had no idea. He was so smart for putting that together because I just would have been like, oh, you microwaved it for too long. But yeah, stale popcorn will just straight up burn in the microwave. Yeah. Google will let you do that. If you press the microphone button on Google search, it will give you the option to search for the song. Oh, I had no idea, Ritus. Oh, that's so handy. I don't even need to download Shazam. I could have just used Google and found that African music myself. Ugh, anxiety is the worst. It really is. It's this sort of like uncontrollable, unpredictable beast where you're just like, I have no idea when this is gonna pop up and get me. But I've been pretty lucky that like doing yoga, going to therapy, and just like breathing, literally just breathing, just teaching yourself how to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which is most often activated by breathing out. Breathing in activates your nervous system. Breathing out activates your parasympathetic nervous system. And that's what I was doing when I was in the drive, that I was just like, just keep breathing. Just keep breathing. The breath will support you. The breath will keep you safe. It was interesting that while I was in the car going there, I didn't feel like I was going to be sick. I just felt like so hot and so just like, I should have just also told him to turn up the AC because when you're in an Uber, you're like usually sitting in the back seat. And they'll have the AC blowing in the front seat, but it doesn't really get to the back seat. It doesn't like circulate as well. And I probably should have just told him like, hey, I need you to turn up the AC because it's really hot back here. I'm sweating through my t-shirt. Driving style, says Biking Viking, and vehicle suspension setups are so vital. Such a pity when a professional driver like an Uber contractor hasn't figured it out. Oh yeah, that was another thing. His suspension was really tight. So it felt like every single bump that we went over in the road was like very, very present. I love like a gentle glide. I don't want to feel the road. I'm not in a race car. This isn't the Grand Prix. Yeah. Yeah, if the popcorn is old, it will burn. Ugh, it's real. Once we got the new popcorn and we made it, it was so good. He's a big fan of popcorn too, so he had all the different flavors that you can put on top of it. And I was like, give me that white cheddar deliciousness. I love white cheddar on popcorn. Every time I go to the movie theaters, I'm like, give me that white cheddar powder. Just pump it straight into my fucking mouth. Just powdery and delicious and divine. It's really good. And then, yeah, we watched Event Horizon, which he had never seen before. And he really enjoyed. I was very, very happy. There's always that worry that you're going to show somebody like one of your old favorite movies. And he did ask me before we started watching. He was like, okay, so like you've liked this movie for a number of years, but have you watched it recently? Is your nostalgia filter going to make you tell me that this is a great movie? And then we're going to watch it and you're going to be like, oh, this didn't age well at all. But it does age well. They did a great job with it. I think Event Horizon still holds up. I haven't rewatched Three Ninjas since I was a little kid. But if you grew up in the 90s like me, I'm sure that you saw Three Ninjas and you fucking loved it. And my memory of Three Ninjas is that it's an amazing fucking movie. And that it was so good and so fun, and that like it was really great and full of action. I loved the music, I loved the relationship between the brothers. But I've definitely read that people are like, do not rewatch Three Ninjas. It does not hold up. The nostalgia filter is thick on our remembrance of the Three Ninjas. Contact is another great one. Yes. Contact, Arrival, and Gravity is my like favorite. It's not a trilogy, but it is a trilogy. I think it's wonderful. Gravity is kind of the outlier in that one because there isn't like any alien interference in that one. But it still has to do with space and the indomitable human spirit, which I think is also a big part of Contact and Arrival as well. There are quite a few movies that have aged just like milk. I'm excited to never rewatch Three Ninjas and to just let that one live in my memory as a perfect film that I do not need to engage with in the 21st century. Just let it live in the past. Let it be good in my memory. Yeah. Gamer Acid Snake said, hello, Ash. Oh, do you know Ashley G Fitness? Friends. What are other movies that have not held up to the test of time? I recently just rewatched Kiss the Girls with Morgan Freeman and Ashley Judd and Cary Elwes. That one seemed fine. But then Seven, I don't know if Seven holds up. I think Seven as a movie has a lot of really good parts. But knowing what we know about Brad Pitt is like, I don't really love Brad Pitt. And then especially knowing what we know about Kevin Spacey. Hey guys, isn't it super lucky that a lot of the people who accused Kevin Spacey of sexual inappropriateness just ended up mysteriously dying? What a fortuitous series of coincidences for Kevin Spacey is like, there is no separating the art from the artist when literal human lives have been lost. It's very fucking sketchy. I find it hard to rewatch Seven and enjoy it, which is such a shame because it was one of my absolute favorite horror movies. Such an incredible coincidence. What a fortuitous series of circumstances for Kevin Spacey. Viking says, I saw Contagion for the first time a few days ago. I was astonished at how well they predicted the panic, the disregard of science, and the pseudoscientific bloggers, again, praising homeopathy, and the often dysfunctional intervention of politics. I've heard that about Contagion as well. That, like, Contagion really At the time that it came out, people were like, this isn't accurate. This is like an often trope in horror movies where they just make people stupid to further the plot. But then we saw during our own experience of the pandemic that, like, oh no, a lot of people are really stupid. A neighbor of mine who I used to see all the time. Every time I would walk my dog, I would see him, and my dog really liked him, so she would always be very excited to see him. And so I would make small talk with him and was just like, okay, he's like an old man. He's British. He's my neighbor. I don't really have any like strong thoughts or feelings about him beyond that. And then during the height of the pandemic, like, the Canadian government took it pretty fucking seriously. We were pretty fucking serious about the pandemic in Canada, to the point that grocery stores would have security guards posted at all of the doors, and the security guards would not let you into the grocery store unless you were wearing a mask. And I went to the grocery store in my neighborhood during the pandemic, and I saw my neighbor walking around the frozen food section without his mask on. Like, he had taken it off once he got into the grocery store, and it made me so angry. I was just like, oh, if I see you, I am turning around and I am taking my dog in the opposite direction. You do not get to have the good grace of my dog's, like, joyousness towards you. Fuck you, buddy. I don't know why it also made me so angry that he was a British man and that he was doing this in Canada. I was like, what the fuck, dude? That's so rude. We invite you into our country and you disregard our laws. That's not cool. It's definitely not okay for any Canadian to disregard those laws either, but it made me feel especially angry at him that I was like, you chose to live here. You decided to move to Canada. And these are the rules of Canada right now, and you're not abiding by them? Get the fuck out of my country. I hope that's not racist of me. I mean, it's not racist. He was a white man. Fuck him. And the joke was on us. People are even stupider than we anticipate, yeah. They did not have security guards at the doors of grocery stores forcing people to wear masks in America. Yeah, I didn't hear a lot about that in the United States, but it was pretty common in Toronto. Yeah. This guy's first time chatting and he just said nothing. I mean, do we just ban him so he can continue saying nothing? Also, people wearing their mask underneath their noses. The pandemic made us so jaded about the average intelligence. After the pandemic, so it was like not during the height of it. It was like definitely things are winding down and opening up again. But I got really like comfortable wearing a mask, especially when it was cold outside, because it makes you feel so much warmer. Like wearing just that like extra fabric on your face. It was so nice and warm. There was a guy in my neighborhood who screamed at me from his like bicycle as he biked by. And he was like, you're wearing a diaper on your face, diaper face. And like, okay, adult man, very brave of you to scream at a woman walking alone on the street. You are truly a social justice warrior, motherfucker. Thought it was so crazy. Because also this guy had like dyed hair and painted fingernails and tattoos. And I was like, oh, okay, so you're totally cool making decisions about your body, but you're very angry at anyone else making a decision about their body? What a dum-dum. A year or maybe two later, I was walking downtown and I saw the same guy who had yelled at me from his bicycle, and he was on his bike again, and he yelled at somebody else. I wasn't wearing a mask because I think it was the summertime, but there was another person who was wearing a mask, and I saw that guy screaming again at this other person, and I screamed at him. I said, fuck you, buddy, let him wear his mask. Fuck you, asshole. His body, his choice. And that guy was not expecting me to scream at him. I don't think he remembered that he had yelled at me, but I was like, no, you are not going to bully this random man on the street just because he decided to wear a mask. I mean, like, what if that guy's wife was going through chemotherapy? What if that guy's wife was going through chemotherapy and he was just trying to keep his, like, immune system in tip-top position to, like, protect his loved ones? Yeah. Maybe he was from an Asian country and it's just very common in Asian countries to just wear a mask. Yeah. Moderators, we have a ban in chat. Go right ahead whenever you're ready. I will never find the stupidity of people in movies to be an implausible aspect of movies after seeing how the pandemic went in real life. Yep, absolutely, yeah. What baffled me during the pandemic was people wearing masks and then pulling them down to cough or sneeze. That was really confusing, right? As I saw that a few times. People like coughing or sneezing on the outside of their mask. It's just like, oh, really defeating the purpose here, people. Yeah. Just the average COVID Canadian reaction to just like protect my fellow Canadian and scream at somebody who's trying to stop them from doing that. Yeah. Okay, one more break and then I will be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stick around, friends. We're getting free peaches? That's amazing. I love peaches. Give me my free speeches. That's a great bone apple tea. My free speech. North Countryman says, I'm catching up on chat and it just proves that people need to be punished for their words and actions more. Fuck your free speech. You don't get to kill people over it. Free speech. Free speech? Conspiracy theorists should go onto a list that people can look up as part of background checks. Shame on them. Don't hire them. Force them to live in fucking tents outside of civilization. But where do you draw the line for that, North Countryman? Like, I believe in ghosts and aliens. I think that, like, aliens definitely exist in our solar system. And it, like, comforts me to think about ghosts. Because I like the idea that our loved ones don't really leave us and that there's, like, something after death. That our lives aren't just, like, here right now. That there's, like, more to do with it than just that we can see and experience. And for some people, they'd be like, that's too far. You're crazy. You don't deserve, you shouldn't be. And so, like, how do you decide, like, what conspiracies you're allowed to believe in and what conspiracies you're not allowed to believe in? The Real Bread and Jams says, I'm no conspiracy theorist, but what about the conspiracies, few and far between, that, like, turned out to be true? Like how the United States government was experimenting using LSD on its population. Like, that turned out to be true. That one was real. And there were probably lots of people who would have been, like, shunned for being like, the government would never do that. And then we saw all these files and it's like, oh, they absolutely did. They definitely gave a bunch of LSD to people. And there it is. Jet fuel can't melt steel beams. That's very true. I recently saw, speaking of 9/11, I didn't look too close into this because I was like, this makes me feel like topsy-turvy and uncomfortable in ways that I don't care to acknowledge. But apparently, I think it was BBC, like the news broadcasting corporation in England, apparently they announced that the World Trade Center collapsed 20 minutes before it actually collapsed. That, I was like, no, this can't be true. And then I clicked a YouTube link and the YouTube video was going to explain it to me. And I was like, no, I'm just not going to, I just can't dive into that one right here, right now. I'm just going to put that one away. I feel like there's a logical explanation for that, like hearing that a plane crashed into a building. I don't think that it's an illogical leap to be like, oh, and it made the building fall over. It made the building collapse, because that seems logical. And so they might have just, like, made that announcement based on their own, it's not inappropriate. The buildings did collapse. But anyways, I didn't like that. And then there's another one that has to do with 9/11 where one of the passports of one of the hijackers was found on the street. That, like, somehow this passport that was, like, probably in a bag or a pocket of one of the hijackers survived the initial fucking hit of the building and, like, fluttered out and landed on the street somewhere nearby. And that's fucking crazy. That's so fucking crazy. If you tried to write that into a story, people would be like, no, I reject this. I'm not even going to accept this. But it happened. They found the passport and they were like, this is one of the fucking hijackers. Oh, yeah. The newsroom might have been given false information as well. Yeah. I feel like it'd be very, very possible, especially in that high stress and intense environment, that, like, somebody said the plane hit the towers and they're like, oh my God, the plane collapsed the towers? Announce this. I think I might just pick up one tonight. You're gonna go look? You're gonna go look it up, Elle. Look it up. I still can't wrap my head around how people truly aren't able to grasp that steel beams don't need to melt in order to collapse. That's fair as well, yeah. That if you compromise the structural integrity... Also, it's not like those buildings were built with the idea that, like... Well, okay, so what sort of engagements are these buildings going to be active in? Well, what if a plane hits it? Was probably not high on their list. Yeah. It feels like a plot hole, right? It feels so unbelievable. I learned about that from ContraPoint's YouTube video about conspiracy theories and conspiracy theorists. And ContraPoints has gotten herself into hot water because she gave a statement on the genocide in Gaza. That's too political for me to address. That's too much for me. But I still think you should check out her conspiracy theorist video essay. I think that's still a good video to look at. Yokai James says, it reminds me of when I used to spiral when thinking about the history of the mundane, small objects that nobody seems to think about, especially money. Oh, I feel like everybody thinks about money all the time. I feel like it's one of like the worst and most inescapable facets of our humanity, that everything has to do with money all the fucking time. Elle says, I'm at the age where I actively reject reasonable explanations of things. I don't want logic. I don't care for it. Batman says, there was actually a lot of reporting on people who got there first and said that it was molten like lava, and then that's where like the melting of the steel beams comes from. I think that we also know that like traumatized people, which everybody in the city was deeply traumatized by those events, that trauma really affects our memories in ways that we can't really anticipate. North says, I remember a conspiracy theorist saying that the plane didn't hit the Pentagon because there wasn't a Looney Tunes shaped plane hole. Yeah, that's... Stupid people are gonna say stupid things. Try the history of everyday words. That's a fun rabbit hole. Batman says, yeah, V, you are correct here, V. Yeah. That even people who weren't in 9/11, who like weren't in the city at the time that it happened, like there was a video I think I saw, and it was specifically talking about traumatic memories. And this guy was like, I feel like I have a memory of like the smoke coming off of the towers, and I could see the smoke rising from my classroom when I was in elementary school when 9/11 happened. And then he went and he looked at where his school was in relation to that part of New York, and he was like, that never happened. No part of my school was even facing or had windows directed or could see. But he has this like really, really clear memory of it, and trauma really fucks with your memory in ways that we like can't anticipate. And then we also get really attached to, where we're like, no, this is my memory. I know what I remembered. And we don't like hearing that, like, well, maybe your memory isn't correct. Maybe your memory isn't true. Because our memories are like the things that make us who we are. Yokai James says, I once watched a video about peasant life years and years ago, and the language back in medieval times blew my mind. Oh, I think we might have seen the same one. Was it talking about Canterbury Tales? And the way that, like, although Canterbury Tales would have been written in a way that we might have been able to read, the way that it was pronounced was so different. That, like, even if you go back a couple hundred years, even if they're speaking English to you, the way that they would pronounce all the words would make it feel like you were speaking a completely different language, even if it was all the exact same words that we're familiar with. That was a video that we watched in high school, and then it also talked about how language will develop into the future. And this guy gave an example of the word jeet. He's like, jeet means basically nothing. It's not a word, but in the context of it's 6:30 p.m. and your significant other has just walked in the door and you're preparing food and you ask them, jeet? It makes sense. Jeet can mean, did you eat? Jeet. Did you eat? Did you eat? And how, like, we're gonna get there. That's the direction that language is going to. We kind of just, like, grunt out phrases in a single breath. I'm in the South, and that is my kind of lingo. You understand jeet immediately. Jeet? Yeah. You got it right off the bat. But yeah, we watched this video in high school, and it talked about, like, the way that language had developed from medieval times to now, and how it's going to keep slipping and sliding and twisting and turning and being new things. Calc is short for calculator. I don't think I watched the same video as you. Mine was a documentary on the daily life of the lower class and how they survived back then. Yeah. I gotta drop, V. Stay hydrated and I love you. Bye, El. And thank you for coming in for less than a minute. Ooh, that's a ban. Prominent example. People who deem must have been instead of must have been. Incorrect grammar. Yeah. Yep. That one doesn't bother me so much. My friend of mine the other day was like, I hate it when people use less and fewer interchangeably because they're different. You can't just use them. Like, sometimes it is grammatically appropriate to say less, and sometimes it's grammatically appropriate to say fewer. And I was like, oh no, I don't know the difference. I don't know when I should use one or the other. And he was like, you do know. You instinctively know. You just know without even having to, like, logically understand how you know. How many T's do you pronounce in the word Trana? Just the one. It's just Trana. Just that first one. The Faza, welcome back for 5 months in a row. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you doing today? Jeet? Jeet? Jeet and Trana? Nobody from Toronto calls it Toronto. If you hear the second T, you know that this person is not from Toronto. And honestly, yeah, the first T is also kind of a CH sound. Like Trana. Instead of Trana. Trana. What about must have been? It's so interesting that if I heard somebody say must have been, I would hear it as like a must have been. And then in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's okay because you're just removing like the H and the V and the E. And it's just must have been. And I think that's okay. The have doesn't need to be fully pronounced. You can use the short form of have, which is Basically trauma, but with like an N instead of an M. Basically. For example, there are fewer subs gifted today than for we are all less than losers. That's exactly what you said, baby. Far away from you says, hey, V, nice thighs. Yeah, they're great. Yeah, they're good. That hurt. Must have been hurts. Or, for example, there are fewer subs gifted today, therefore... Oh, therefore is one word. I think that's why I didn't understand what you were trying to say. Therefore, we are less than losers. Oh, Trana. Oh, the sweet, beautiful home of Trana. I love it. Yeah. And now it is 4. I have my cat's food dish go off at 4 p.m. so I can hear it. And it's an auditory reminder. I also didn't connect to the therefore in my head and I struggled. Yeah, it's interesting how like one space in a word can really discombobulate your understanding of the entire sentence. We're very delicate little creatures, aren't we? Well, we got a raid earlier today, and so we shall pass on our raid. Thank you, my wonderful audience, for spending the day with me. It was great conversation, good talks. Had a lot of fun. Who shall we... Oh, Miss Tricky! Yay! Okay, go with Miss Tricky. She just started her stream. Oh, James! Oh my god, thank you! Gifted subs? No way! Here are some subs. You okay, James? You are too sweet. You are too kind. You are too generous. Go pass that love on to Ms. Tricky as well. Go give Ms. Tricky all of her love. She is streaming. I think she's doing ASMR. It looks like she has an ASMR mic up. So go give her all your love. Thank you so much for spending the day with me. Great conversation today, guys. I think I'll be back tomorrow. I'm pretty sure I'll be back tomorrow. Thursday is therapy day. So I don't think we're going to be streaming on Thursday, but we'll be here for Wednesday. I can't wait to share hump day with you. Because I know y'all love to hump. Have a good rest of your day, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.